Losers Bracket Podcast, round 109, and tonight we will be doing quite a few things for the first time ever, like taking live calls and actually giving away a copy of Collector's Edition Guild Wars 2. Pretty exciting. I am joined by my normal co-hosts. I do have Lord Jareth with me, as well as Check 6, Key Hunt. This is going to be a pretty exciting episode. Got tons of guests. We're going to have Guitar Hero Eric on in just a little bit to talk about the Guitar Hero event that's going on in Chicago this weekend. We're going to be recapping IPL 4. We're going to be talking about the eSports event, if you want to call it that happened in India. There's a lot going on, but as always, I'd like to give the mic over to my co-host, let them say what's going on with them this week before we get started. So, Kurt, take the mic, sir. How are you doing, my man?
I am doing well, doing well. It was a busy weekend. The IPL going on. Lots of amazing stuff to cover tonight. I don't want to take up too much time with the intro here, but also MLG's Open qualifiers are going on right now, so that is fantastic. We Check 6 has 5 or 6 players doing that, so pretty excited. Jerry, how about you, buddy?
I'm good. I had this. I was leaving the gym today, and I was at the gym, kind of dressing, getting ready to leave. And somebody walks by with this cologne, and it triggered an allergic sort of reaction. And so I have one nostril that keeps leaking. So that puts me in a real prime mood tonight. So Anybody got something to fucking say to me? Tonight's a good night to say it because I'm raring and in the mood. So otherwise, though, pretty good. It was a good esports weekend. I thought a lot of good stuff happened in IPL 4. We got a lot of good guests tonight, as Jason already said. And yes, we are going to be giving away. People asking me, well, are you going to actually give it away tonight, or are you going to just tell us how to get it? Well, you're just going to have to listen to the show and find the fuck out. I'm not going to tell you, right? So I don't want to hear none of it, right?
That's cheeky.
It's a GameStop code. No, it's not cheeky. I didn't even know that word, but yeah, it's it starts with the letters 2KK. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's your unique code, and we'll get to that before the end of the show. But take it away, Jason.
Sure. So we've got quite a few things on the plate for this evening. As I have said, we will be taking live calls for the first time tonight. So if you would like to participate in that, here is how you will do so. Make sure you're on Skype, okay? Make sure that you have a headset because that way, you don't have any feedback going on. And make sure your mic's working because if it isn't, if we can't hear you, we're knocking you right out. Later on in the show, I will be giving you my information on Skype. You'll be able to call in. We'll have questions. We'll have different things going on, so make sure you're ready for that. We're looking forward to it. Let's start things off with, let's just bring the guests right in. How do y'all feel about that? Let's not even start with some news. We'll get through news later on in the show. I say we bring in Guitar Hero Eric, talk a little bit about the event in Chicago, and after that we've got VVV Brock coming on in just a little bit as well. He's going to be telling us about his weekend at PAX East, how the event went down. It's going to be a pretty decent show. So, Jerry, do you think you can call Guitar Hero Eric and bring him on in?
Yeah, I do that for a living. You tell me to call somebody, I call them. That's what I do. I call them.
Look at that. That's like magic, my friend. It's ringing. Oh, my gosh.
He's not going to pick up the phone. He's going to be like, you know what? I'm busy.
You know what?
Hello.
Oh? Eric?
Hello. Yes, this is Eric.
What's going on, buddy? It's Jason. How you doing, man?
Oh, hey, why are you calling me?
No, we're totally getting
How you doing,
trolled
guys?
by his voicemail.
Thanks for having me on the show.
That was so well done, though. For a minute there.
Oh, God. I was so upset. I was going to scream.
And when Kurt screams, no matter what, you know how when a Hispanic person starts to get really excited and they sort of lapse to their native tongue? Kurt has this syndrome where no matter how angry he gets, he eventually somehow turns the conversation and does something with Counter-Strike. So thank God that didn't happen because otherwise you'd never get to Guitar Hero. So glad to have you back on the show. And why don't we talk about Chicago? Let's start right with the big stuff coming up this weekend. Jason, take it away.
Yeah, most definitely. For the people that are listening that don't know this voice, he was on the show a little bit ago, but this is Eric, Guitar Hero Eric. He actually runs all the social media for the Guitar Hero brand, DJ Hero, all the hero-related endeavors in the world. First off, before we get to Chicago, Eric, how have you been, sir? How has things been in the world of the mastermind behind this social media?
Oh, mastermind is kind of a strong word. But yeah, no, everything's been good. Just got back from Emerald City Comic-Con. We had a Guitar Hero booth there, and then about 30,000 people. And yeah, we're excited for Chicago next weekend.
Definitely. So tell us what's going on. I mean, two of the three hosts here, myself and Jerry will be there at the event in Chicago this weekend. Tell us what we're in store for. What should we expect?
Free nachos, free root beer, and lots of vintage games.
Vintage games. Awesome. This is going to be at a place called Logan Hardware, Logan Square, Chicago. What's the venue got in there? What are these vintage games? What is this?
Yeah, Logan Hardware is this great record store in Logan Square. And my buddy Sean stumbled across it, and I went there and played some Tron and some Gauntlet 2. They have these vintage cabinets in the back that are on free play. So if you buy a record, their deal is you buy a record at the record store and you get to play video games for free in the back. All on free play. So that was my dream come true there. So we decided to have a party there during the same weekend as C2E2, which is a Chicago pop culture Comic-Con event, and we're running the after party with the help of Shawnimals and of course VVV Gaming.
Really, really exciting. Shawnimals, how did they get involved?
Yeah, Shawnimals, they're from Chicago. My buddy Sean Smith, and they do the Ninja Town stuff, like the plushies and the games, and they're local. So yeah, DS, and they have an iPhone game, an iOS game, and they also have a new Ninja Builder where you can like build your own ninja and share it socially and stuff. But yeah, they're in Logan Square, so they're going to be rocking. They're kind of the host. They're bringing in a band called Arc Impulse and a couple DJs, Sweet. And they're providing the party atmosphere. And you guys are just providing the Guitar Hero tournament.
Definitely. Hey, I'm excited about it. Prizes, what should we expect out there for prizes? Anybody attending? What's the incentive for people to come out aside from the free food?
The food is great, the music, and of course we'll have some Guitar Hero, DJ Hero, and Band Hero stuff. Shawnimals is giving some stuff away too. I think they have these bags, these like Ninja Town Puma bags that are going to look cool. I think first 25 people in the door get those, and then everyone who participates in the tournament gets a bag, and I think the winners will end up getting the grand prize is a Launchpad. One of those MIDI controllers. Did you win one of those, Jason? Did you win one of those
wish yet? I did. I didn't get one at MagFest. But,
no. Yeah, those are pretty cool, too.
Right. I've actually seen there's actually a really cool, for anybody who wants to see what one of those Launchpad is, there's actually on YouTube, there's this really great prodigy with music. His name is Madion, little I believe 13-year-old French guy. Amazing. He did 37 pop songs all together. Pop Culture is the name of the song. Go check that out later on. It's all done on one of those devices that Eric was just mentioning. So we've got 6 or 7 different people from VVV Gaming that are coming out to the event this weekend as well. So we're looking forward to it. Jerry, are you excited about coming out and seeing what Guitar Hero is like in person?
I mean, it's a great neighborhood, right? Arc Impulse is kind of, I know in May they're going to be at Reggie's Rock Club too. So you've got this sort of really Chicago feel to all this. I mean, I'm really glad Eric mentioned C2E2. I mean, a lot of people know about Wizards Comic-Con, but there's this another cultural event in Chicago known as Chicago Comic Entertainment Expo. And whereas for those of you who are familiar with Chicago, you know what I'm talking about, but Wizards Comic-Con, the other event we'll call it, that happens at a small place called the Adlai Stevenson Convention Center. But the C2E2 event is actually at the McCormick Place. Now, the McCormick Place is Chicago's largest, you could argue it's America's largest convention center. The McCormick Place is actually kind of an architectural wonder in many ways. So it's a really cool place. They've got a really, I don't want to say less geeky because that's really not true. There's a lot of actors there but I mean, it's less it's not so much washed up actors that I typically find at Comic-Cons. No offense to William Shatner fans and Leonard Nimoy fans, but it's got Laura Cohen's going to be there from Walking Dead for those of you that are Walking Dead fans. And you're going to also have Stephen Ewen, the other Walking Dead co-host, the one who plays her love interest. And then you have Sean Austin from Lord of the Rings. Most of you should know who that is. I don't have to explain that, or we'll revoke your Greek credentials. So I mean, it's a good time to be in Chicago if you are a fan of sort of, all things geek, I guess, as a way to say that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a good weekend, and it's I don't know. I've been to a lot of cities, but there's very few that both party and have the atmosphere of Chicago. So I think it's a good place to be. Is this going to be your first time, Eric, in Chicago, or you've been here before?
I love Chicago. I go to Hot Doug's every time I'm in town. I try to make it to a Cubs game every time I'm in town, and also go to Lollapalooza every time. I've gone 6 out of 7 years, and they're actually announcing this summer's Lollapalooza lineup, I think, at midnight tonight. So I'm excited for that.
Nice.
I'm going
cool.
in August for that.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, good place to be. So,
yeah, it's great.
Logan Hardware, for those who don't know, that is also a really, God, it's hard because Chicago is got such distinct neighborhoods, and Logan Square is a little bit young, a little bit trendy, but not too trendy, a little bit hipster, and a little bit retro. So it's like a really good place to be if you can basically hold a conversation using more than 2-syllable words, because you're going to run into a few people that are a little more thinky, a little more crafty. So, and being Chicago, I mean what I'm about to say sincerely, it's not a good place for boring Republicans. I'm just going to be honest. It's the blue state and a blue city, and we have a lot of fun in Chicago. So it's a good place to be.
Oh man! So aside from Chicago, what other plans we got in the future, Eric? What's coming up?
The only thing I can talk about right now is that we're going to be at Big Wow Comic-Con in San Jose on May 19th and 20th. And there might be some guests there that might have been a musician in some of the current Guitar Hero. They had a track for a band that might be on one of the songs or games. We'll see who shows up, though. But yeah, that's the only thing I can talk about right now. We had Activision has Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD this summer, which I'm excited about that. And Men in Black Alien Crisis and Battleship. Also, you talked about it maybe 2 podcasts ago, Diablo 3, May 15th. Stoked for that.
Oh, you don't even understand how excited VVV Gaming is right now about Diablo. Like, I'm sorry, but Jerry, I'm going to break it to you now. I don't even know if the loser's bracket can continue after May 15th because I'm going to be sucked in. I'm going.
Well, I mean, look, when we're talking about, just the next couple months of games, you've got Diablo 3, you have Guild Wars 2, obviously going to do a giveaway later of a collector's edition, which, as from my understanding, is already sold out in the UK and may have already sold out here in the US. I'm not really sure, but we were kind enough to get one, and I certainly don't need it. So, meaning I already have one. But yeah, we'll give one of those away. So, but going back to what's going on this weekend, when do you arrive in town, Eric?
Oh, I'll be there Friday night, and then I'll be just sitting there for the weekend.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person, and we've got a big show tonight, Jason. So I'm going to let you say your final shout-outs there, Eric, and then we're going to move along.
Most definitely.
Okay. Yeah, Jason, thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you guys in Chicago, and I'll be back on the show some other time, huh?
Oh, definitely. Amen. At any time you got any Guitar Hero news, hit me up. We'll get you on. We'll talk about it. And one last thing before you go, I really want to do something in Orlando. Can we make that happen?
Yeah. We'll wait to see when Nerdapalooza is this year. Maybe we'll do something around then, huh?
That sounds awesome. Hey, so anybody that's in the Florida area that lives around me, got something to look forward to. I'll definitely give you details as they break. But Eric, it's always a pleasure to have you on, sir. Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me.
We'll get you back on the
Rock
show
on,
again
everybody.
soon. See you later this weekend, buddy.
Take care, Eric.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
All right.
He is always so nice. Eric is so nice. Like, if there's anything about Guitar Hero, Guitar Hero should feel a certain way. Eric feels the way Guitar Hero. It's just really nice guy. I really look forward to meeting him in person. Always fantastic. All right. So, Guitar Hero. Wow, I don't want to get to IPL yet. Let's talk. We're talking about fun. PAX. Let's talk about PAX before we get to IPL. Kurt, are you still alive? Because I know we haven't talked about Counter-Strike or IPL yet. You doing okay? Oh, yeah. I know.
No.
You should have a secret tweet. Here's my thing.
I'm just joking. Calm your little panties. Calm your panties.
Calm your panties. What is this?
What do uncalm panties look like? That's my What's an uncalm panty? Look, we've got a rogue panty running down here. Okay. So we got Brock here, don't we?
We do.
Yes,
Brock,
I'm here.
Are you around, buddy?
I am here. How are you guys?
Awesome. You know what I like? What I like is that when the one thing that we do in VB Gaming that I think distinguishes us from everybody else is we actually do shit that's sometimes really fun, like things like Guitar Hero events and cool places that generally involve drinking and other fun things. And right now, I'm sure there are diehard esports fans who thumb their noses at that, and that fuels my happiness. So, Brock, I've got pictures already in our forums. I'm looking at Ganon Metroid. Is that Ganon's pictures with the crazy hair always?
That is Ganon, yes.
that it is. I want to hear about, and there is a certain EG player that you met at PAX East that I want to save till the end. So don't tell that story yet, because that's going to be our transition IPL. But I want to hear about all things PAX. This is what, your second, third PAX? How many PAXs have you been to?
This is my third PAX, yes. All 3 PAX Easts I've been to, and they've all been incredible.
So what makes for those who don't ever go to PAX because they're obviously either too good or just not interested in gaming, one of the two. But what is PAX for those who don't know? Like, they understand it's a big convention, but why do you go to PAX? What makes it fun? Tell us the story there, Lee.
It is basically the biggest nerd convention that I can think of pretty much in North America. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're Magic, or you play video games, or you just really, really like meeting people and meeting them online or meeting them from online communities. It's a lot of fun. It's an entire weekend where there's like 4 panels going on at once. They're always discussing new games. You can test out new games. It's just a lot of fun. There's always something to do the entire weekend.
Well, I want to get a little bit of other people involved here. So, Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you so that I'm not monopolizing the conversation, because I'm sure Kurt and I are going to talk a lot about IPL 4, and people are going to get tired of my voice and be like, just give me the damn Guild Wars thing so I can leave now. So before we get there, let's get right to this.
Yeah, no doubt. So, being a fellow Guitar Hero player, we just finished off the Guitar Hero discussion. I know that Harmonix is based in the area. Any sort of rhythm gaming at the event? What was? I know in the past there's been tournaments. What's going on in that world?
Yes, no tournaments this weekend, unfortunately, but there was one pretty huge announcement coming from Harmonix, who is based in Boston, and they announced their brand new game called Rock Band Blitz. And it's different. There's no plastic instruments at all in this game, which really, it kind of startled a lot of us in the Guitar Hero and Rock Band community, because, rhythm gaming for the past 6 or 7 years, it's been nothing but plastic guitar and plastic drums. So for this one, for anyone who's played like past Harmonix games before Rock Band and Guitar Hero came out, you have, amplitude and frequency, which you just play with the regular controller, and their rhythm games are a lot of fun, but some people kind of saw it as a kind of a step back, which I've never actually played those games, so I went in, completely unbiased, and I played it, and it was a lot of fun. There was a pretty long line for it, but I had no problem waiting in line for this game, and there was always good music going on, and a lot of, there's something about the rhythm gaming community that's just a lot of fun to hang out with, and yeah, I played it, and it was a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. It's an Xbox Live Arcade title, too, so that's another thing to keep in mind, so it'll probably be pretty cheap. And, if you don't want the game, then actually every song in that game actually transfers over into your Rock Band 3 game. So you can think of it as a giant track pack if you really don't want the game, because there's some good songs on this game.
Cool.
Real quick, let me jump in. I want to ask a couple quick questions. I know that you've got pictures in our gallery recently that you added that were like you had the Harmonix panel, and then you had the OC Remix panel. And I know you went to a couple esports panels, too, and we're going to get to that. But I first want to understand, what's the audience like at those kind of panels, and what are the kinds of questions that people ask? Because, I myself am not a rhythm gamer, and, so if I were to, watch the diehard rhythm gaming fans and those interested in what Harmonix is doing in OC Remix, what are the kinds of questions? What was it like for you? What are the kinds of things that get discussed?
Well, the biggest thing that I noticed, pretty much the exact opposite of what you would find on like our the Rock Band website. 90% of the posts to the developers on a website, it's nothing like, get Led Zeppelin in the game, get, U2 or Pink Floyd or something, and that doesn't really do a whole lot. But if you go to these conventions, these are really the diehard fans, people that know their stuff. They're not going to go in. They know they can ask one question. They're not going to waste it. So they asked about, the development. They also did Central and Dance Central too. So they've done a whole lot of different games. So they asked kind of about just what went into going into these games and just the history of them and what made them want to, kind of shy away from the plastic guitar. And I mean, we all kind of know what it is. It's the fact that Guitar Hero put out like 6 games and a couple of years ago that kind of killed it. But they're actually going on doing a whole lot of this now. And what surprised me the most was just how many people showed up. Harmonix actually had 2 panels. The first one was where they pretty much just talked about Rock Band Blitz, and they talked, and what else? It was Rock Band Blitz. Oh, yeah, and they're actually doing a live podcast during it too, so we could go up and ask questions, and they had plenty of guests there, even from other organizations like EA and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome, dude. Going on with things that were fun at PAX, I would like to know new games. I'm sure there was a ton of different games that were there. Anything fun that you played that, coming out soon in the future that you could share information with us? Give us, let's say your top 3 that you saw there.
Okay. I guess this is another one where it's very different from last year. Last year, there were huge games that I could not wait for. Gears of War 3, LA Noire, those were huge games, and I waited several hours in line just to play those games. This year, not so much. I wanted to get the panels more so, but I did have a chance to check out some of the games. The 2 biggest games, at least the 2 games that took up the most amount of space and had the most people in line, were Max Payne 3. That was huge. I think Rockstar there. And Borderlands 2 was another big one that had a lot of people, and I watched them both. I actually never played the previous Borderlands or even the first Max Payne. So yeah, I know. But I checked them out, and it looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait. And I talked to some people in line because I actually didn't want to wait 3 hours in line to play the game. So I talked to people that have played it, and they said it was phenomenal. So I figure everything I could have found out while playing it, I can find it online later on. So I didn't get to play the game, but one game that I did play that I can't wait for, I played it for over an hour straight, and that's Trials Evolution, which was the sequel to it's a sequel to Trials HD, the Xbox Live Arcade
games
game
ever.
Oh my god! It's pretty much exactly like the first one with better levels, more skill challenges, a whole lot more to it. And the biggest addition was multiplayer, which I was very impressed with how they went about doing it. Because, everyone on one screen, it's kind of hard, but they made it work pretty well. So now it's not just a single-player game. You can play online, play with friends all on the same TV. So, yeah, Trials Evolution was definitely a big success in my mind.
Just curious, because I've played the first Trials, and I know how much that just, how did they implement multiplayer? Is that just more like a head-on-head who can get the better time, or is there ways you can impact your opponent, and what's it like?
There's definitely ways. It's up to 4 people all on the same screen, but say, because, it's, if one person tends to fall really far behind, it actually counts as a fault, and there's little checkpoints throughout the level. So if you fall behind, or if you fall or whatever, and you get a fault, then once the person in first reaches the next checkpoint, then everyone else kind of respawns and continues the level. And then at the very end, whoever's in first place gets 10 points, whoever's in second place gets 9 points, and so on. But every fault that they get subtracted by 1 point. So it's very interesting how they did it, because the only other way to do it would be to have every person have their own screen, but just having a small little corner of the TV screen wouldn't really work. So the way they did it, I thought it was very smart. It's different, and I think it's going to take a little getting used to, but I think it's going to be pretty good.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, I want to bring this a little bit back closer to the esports world. So Kurt, I know that you have a couple questions. Feel free to take the mic, sir.
Yeah, I got a few small questions. And you might have mentioned this before. I had to step away for just a little bit, but I do want to hear what you had to say, if anything, about Firefall there. I had heard a little bit about the game, and that's kind of big, fairly hype right now. I think that's mainly because Firefall, from my understanding, is supposed to be making esports division, a lot like Riot does for League of Legends. Did you have a chance to play the game at all? What did you see of it? Anything like that?
I unfortunately did not I wasn't able to play it. I think I saw it last year. It's been around for a while, and I think I saw more of it there. It wasn't a game that really captured me, I guess, because there were other things around it that very close to it. I want to see what was going on there. So Firefall, sorry, Kurt, but I can't really help you out there. But from what I saw, from a distance,
I ask a question and Brock doesn't come through. Oh.
Hey.
All right, so and I'm not sure if it was there or not. What about Halo 4? Anything at all from there? Halo 4?
No Halo 4, unfortunately, and I was actually kind of looking forward to that. I was really big into Halo 3. Halo Reach didn't really do much for me, so I was really hoping to see some Halo 4. I did not get to see that, unfortunately.
Okay, last question, because apparently my fucking questions suck. The League of Legends booth, I heard it was massive at PAX, and there was a bunch of League of Legends people there. What was going on there?
League of Legends was pretty huge. I think they were pretty much the only booth that actually had their own seating section in the middle of it, because they always had a match going on at once. Anyone could just walk up there and play it. And actually, I think I saw a couple of pro teams go up and have a couple show matches, so that was kind of fun. And it was actually, I think it was streamed even with commentators. So it was one of the biggest booths there and some of the biggest lines too. And it was pretty cool. I stayed and sat for a while, mostly because I was just really tired and wanted to sit down. But it was huge. It was a lot of fun to see. I'm not a huge League of Legends fan. I'm still trying to learn, but it was pretty awesome, especially for a game that's already been out. I guess been out for a little bit, and such a huge draw in an event full of all these new games and big announcements. For a game like that to still be so huge, and it's amazing.
Pretty cool.
Sweet. Jerry, back to you, buddy.
Well, I want to bring it to esports because I know you did a lot of that too, and a lot of our audience is going to be obviously interested in that. Although I do want to say that we're going to be going after some people from the Firefall game, from the development team. I want to get them on here to really talk about what they mean when they say they're really interested in esports and what that. So that'll be upcoming in a future show. So I heard there were some esports panels. Brock, let's take them one at a time. What esports panels did you attend, and what do you think? I mean, I doubt they're going to teach you anything, but what do you think the general audience may have taken away with their impression of esports based on these channels? Pardon me, these panels.
Yeah. Well, the first panel was called "Video Games Aren't Just for Playing. Gameplay as a Spectator Entertainment," which is just more about watching can be just as much fun as playing. And obviously, I think for someone who watches this show, which I do pretty much every week, and also other shows like Live on 3, a lot of the stuff that they talked about was fairly basic. I think because a whole lot of people there, they knew little to nothing about competitive gaming and Twitch TV and everything. But for what was there, I thought it was really interesting. Kevin Lin from Twitch TV, he was there as pretty much the main guest speaker, and he did a great job. I never knew the past or the history of Twitch TV, so to hear from him, that was kind of interesting. I actually had no idea.
Wasn't Twitch started, or Justin Up TV at least started because of the Jonas Brothers or some shit?
I was actually just about to say that, and you cut me off. So thank you for stealing my thunder. But yes, they do have at least in part, they have the Jonas Brothers to thank for that. They had just pretty much started Justin TV, and they learned very early on that they had a problem keeping a whole lot of people watching the same stream. And the Jonas Brothers actually contacted Kevin and said, you know what, we want to live stream our concert to all of our fans before we go on tour. And they said, sure, why not? They had no idea what they were doing, really, but they figured, why not? Turns out about 100,000 fans showed up to listen to the Jonas Brothers, and their site immediately crashed.
Wow.
So from that they learned, and they tried it again a second time to a different band, and it crashed again. Finally, on the third time, they thought that they figured they had everything figured out finally, and 180 viewers show up, and they crash for the Jonas Brothers. So after that, they really took a step back, figured out everything that they were doing wrong, and now they have hundreds of thousands of people watching League of Legends, and there's no problem. So yes, in a way, they do have the Jonas Brothers to thank for their recent success. I guess you can say.
So the Jonas Brothers have had a direct impact on esports, and you didn't even know it. Look at that! You learn something new every day.
Yep.
God, Jason, you just made me want to kill myself.
Oh, we're going to find out that you actually have a whole bunch of Jonas Brothers CDs stashed away somewhere, aren't we?
Counter-Strike players listening to Jonas Brothers? It makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
But go ahead and continue on, guys.
I want to go back to Brock talking a little bit about. So, you mentioned Justin TV. Was there a general esports panel or something specifically about esports?
There was, and that was the second panel. It was early Sunday morning, but I made sure to be there bright and early, and that was State of the Game PAX edition. And this was where a whole lot of the big names, I guess, other than Kevin Lin, but Day9, DJ Wheat, Mark Mann from the fighting game community, and also I guess I'll talk about the last guest, which was In Control from EG. And this, I thought, probably was the best panel of the entire weekend. It was it was very informative. I had to stand out back because I had all my luggage with me, but they talked about pretty much all recent things, like everything that hadn't even been discussed up until this point on any of the streams. They opened with Scarlett's recent performances and how well she's been doing, and kind of they went from that to the whole fighting game community and what's been going on in the StarCraft community with the whole racism, sexism type of thing. And I thought all of it was handled very well because, again, I think probably at least half the audience really doesn't know a whole lot about competitive gaming. Right. So I think the way that they addressed all this, it was very well handled, especially by In Control, because I've never actually seen an interview with him. I just figured he was a pretty good StarCraft player from EG, but he's a very, what's the word? I guess speaking wise, he's very eloquent. I think
he's very well spoken, and he's a genuine smartass. Like there's very few genuine smartasses. People like really force smartass. Jerry's a genuine smartass. In Control's a genuine smartass. I tend to force it.
Okay.
You're a genuine smartass. You are bona fide.
No matter what I do, I can't argue that, can I?
So anyway, I guess kind of back on track. I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. Oh yes, because it makes me think of back last week in the loser bracket, you guys were talking about Brazzers and that whole debacle and what happened, and obviously that came up as well, especially with someone from the fighting game community there. And Jason, all those stupid little puns that you did with Brazzers and everything, In Control really put you to shame, man. There's no comparison. He was funny. He was a very, very smart guy, and I can tell he's very genuine.
Hold on there. I wasn't the only one making the puns. I was not. Every single person on the show last week was to blame. So,
but you were the only one making bad puns, so that's why I brought it up.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Thanks.
No. So,
back to this.
So what you're saying is that you now, having sort of had this experience with EG's In Control, that you could say you get now why Jeff is so popular and what his charm and appeal is to many, many gamers.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. He does all this, and IPL was going on too. I'm sure he even mentioned that. I think he would have loved to have gone to IPL, but he probably saw this as more important because these are a whole bunch of gamers who probably don't know a whole lot about competitive gaming and what there really is out there. So he saw this as a place to really do a whole lot more good rather than just go to a tournament, which is also great. But he probably saw this as a kind of a bigger calling, I think.
Word. That's pretty
awesome.
Awesome.
I know he had to do the I think the Kingston booth for EG. So that's originally what he was there for. But the State of the Game panel was awesome. They did it last year at PAX 2, and it got filled up incredibly quick. Jeff is hilarious. It's one of those guys that I wish I could dislike, but I can't. I can't even force myself to dislike that guy. Another thing to note about him for people that are watching the show is that he knows the community. Like, very few players or even fucking casters know the community as well as him. Like, that guy could spout out like the most random players that no one's ever heard of but him, and he'll know like their mother's maiden name and shit. Like, he is true blue, man. I'm telling you. Like, he knows his shit. So, really good guy.
Word.
So yeah, so the state of the game panel went well. Was there anything else to note from the panels or anything like that?
I guess one thing. I'm a huge nerd, obviously. So when it comes to music, video game music is actually my I know. But video game music is one of my favorite kinds of music. And I went there, not knowing the bands that were playing. But sure enough, who else but Power Glove would be playing in the kind of it was a small band room. Unfortunately, they weren't one of the main bands. They showed up and just said that they wanted to play in the jam space, it was called. And it's this small, like, little room. Like, you could barely fit like 100, 200 people in it. And you go to like Paul and Storm or Jonathan Coulter or like the Video Game Orchestra, they have at least a couple of thousand people in the main theater area. So Power Glove showed up. They just wanted to put on a concert. They weren't paid to do any of this. They just wanted to go there and do whatever they could. So I unfortunately was not able to see them because by the time I got there, before they even started, the place was already full. So I would have had to wait in a line of like over 100 people, and I knew by the time I finally got to the front of the line, they weren't going to have any spots. Like, they wouldn't still be playing. So luckily, I've already seen them on a couple of occasions, so I wasn't too heartbroken. But Power Glove is based out of Boston. Like, they're always around the Boston area. So I don't know why PAX East, which takes place in Boston, I don't know why they don't have them as one of their main bands. Because I mean, I know they don't have like the names of like Jonathan Coulter or Paul and Storm or something, but they're still pretty awesome. They know how to put on a great show. So at PAX East next year, they did the same thing last year. I mean, they were in some small little jam space, and I want to see them on the big stage because I know they'll be awesome.
They are such great guys. I mean, shout out to Power Glove as well, not only for putting on a free concert at PAX East, but also, as you guys heard at the beginning of the show, they are the band that gives us our intro and outro music. Such awesome guys. They've always been a supporter of our show, so big thumbs up to them for supporting us as gamers. Really cool. So, aside from that, you're talking about music. Any other big music acts that you did get to see? Any sort of new acts maybe that you saw? Because video game music warms my heart.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, other than, not being able to see Power Glove, the biggest surprise to me was being able to see a Video Game Orchestra, which was just a delight for me. Seeing everything from the Final Fantasy music in full orchestra, or seeing like a rock version of like a Mario song or something along those lines. That was pretty amazing. So that was probably the highlight music-wise for me for the weekend. Video Game Orchestra. Definitely check them out.
All right. We're actually going to be probably getting close to the end here of this discussion of PAX East, because we still got a couple really big topics that we need to cover. We've got a couple more guests that we're going to bring on. Brock, it's been a long time since we've had you on the show, though, so I'm really glad we had the opportunity to bring you on. Before we do let you go, any sort of shout-outs, any last things that you'd want us to know about PAX East? Lay it on us, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, definitely a shout-out to Hell Ashes, Ganon Metroid, from the VVV. I roomed with them all weekend. I got to hang out with them all weekend. That was a lot of fun. Also to, I guess, Spike Mouth, to Joe, and from Dave, who were also roommates. We had a Fifth Six in there, so it'll be a cheap hotel. Also, who was it? Can't think. Shout out to Brental Floss, actually. For those of you who don't know who he is, he takes video game themes and puts actual lyrics to them, the Mario theme, the Zelda theme. Definitely check him out. He was there as well. I wasn't able to see him, but I've seen him in past shows, and he was a lot of fun. So other than that, shout out to all you guys. Thanks for having me on here. It was a lot of fun. And follow me on Twitter, VVVBrock.
Awesome. Brock, thank you so much for stopping by, my friend, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. I got to kick your butt in Guitar Hero again at some point, so...
yeah, again.
Yeah, I'm sorry you can't make it out to Chicago this weekend, man. Hey, now. No, I'm sorry you can't make it out to Chicago. That'd be a lot of fun. But no worries, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. You have a good one. Take care.
All right, see ya.
All right, guys. So...
Awesome.
Wow.
I'm glad to hear some good PAX stuff, man. I wasn't able to cover PAX this weekend at all. Like, I wasn't able to pay attention to it. I watched a few of the Twitch streams. I watched, I don't pay attention much to, what's the people that put on PAX that,
Penny Arcade?
Penny Arcade, there we go. I don't pay attention much to Penny Arcade, and I probably should.
Come on.
Yeah, I watched the Penny Arcade Q&A with the two guys, like Doug and something. That was really interesting. Dude, those guys are hilarious. Those guys are hilarious. But that's pretty much all I could watch throughout the weekend. I was so glued to IPL. So.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about IPL in just a second.
Well, as we get into IPL, though, I think it's time to talk a little bit about Guild Wars 2. So I want to get everybody in on the Guild Wars 2 thing, because we're going to what we're going to do this sort of segment. So while we're talking about IPL, we're going to be looking for one person to win, and I'm going to give the instructions only once. So pay very close attention. The way the Guild Wars giveaway will work is like this. I will choose the winner, and I'll choose whoever I want. But this is what you have to do in order to get on the list of whoever I want. You will be getting the Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition. So there will be a beta access 3-day head start key. And with this, you also get the Heroes Band. So you will have a Collector's Edition account. And I will forward you a unique code, which you will go to the Guild Wars 2 site, put that code in, and if you have a Guild Wars account currently, like you've got one of the @NCSoft kind of Guild War accounts, if you play, you'll know what I'm talking about, you'll be able to link that to your new Guild Wars 2 account. So you'll get the head start, the 3-day head start for Guild Wars, you'll get the beta access, you'll get the Heroes Band, all the good stuff that makes Guild Wars really special. For those of you who don't know, I think if you look at GameStop, they have the release date in June, the end of June, I think like June 26th. I don't know if that's accurate or if anyone's confirmed that, but that's where it's going to be. So here's the plan, right? You need to follow the @LosersBracket Twitter. That's the first thing. You need to message I want Guild Wars 2 @LosersBracket, right? So make sure you do that. And then I want to see that same message posted, and this is where we're going to kind of verify your account to your persona. I also want to see you on Facebook. So if you don't have Facebook, you don't have Twitter, storm off now in anger, because I'm really sorry, but, it is the 21st century, and social media rules the day. So 2 messages. One, @LosersBracket, right? I want Guild Wars 2 CE. I want Guild Wars 2 CE. And same thing on the VV Gaming Facebook page. You want links, I'm not going to give it to you. You don't know how to do it, I don't care. Finally, the third and final thing is that we started a giveaway earlier this week where I asked one lucky person to tell me why Gary Becker won the Nobel Prize in Economics. I've had a couple people send me private messages, and yes, you could copy Wikipedia, but there was a second part to that question. I asked you, hey, tell me how it relates to eSports. So far, I've gotten one really strong and interesting answer, private message to me on the VV forums. Now, this giveaway has nothing to do with the Guild Wars giveaway. So all the Guild Wars 2 nerds can be like, because I know you certainly don't want to look up Gary Becker. But the winner of that will get a Sensei mouse and a VVV mouse pad signed by me, because I'm going to start looking for the smartest gamers out there show after show. You'll win cool stuff, and we want to meet you. There's a long-term reason why, but for now, we want to meet you. So, 2 giveaways tonight. One, I'll be watching our social media. I'll be looking at those of you that are messaging @LosersBracket saying, I want, right, Guild Wars 2 CE. I'm seeing all those come through, Red v Blue, Shadow, Yash, I see you all. I'm going to be looking to you on Facebook. And from that, I'm going to pick a winner. So
if I should see you guys put out more messages promoting Losers Bracket without spamming silly, or you make me laugh. I find something you say funny in chat or on Twitter or in the VV Gaming Facebook wall, then yeah, you might be it. Again, it's at my discretion since it's my collector's edition. And secondly, for those of you who want to win the Sensei mouse and the VVV mousepad, right, this is courtesy of SteelSeries, by the way, who both makes the Sensei mouse and makes the VVV Gaming SteelSeries pad. I want a good answer about Gary Becker, and the best way to get me that answer, and no, as a matter of fact, the only way to get me that answer is to send me a private message on the VV forums where I'm known as VVV Lord Jareth. Here's the other thing. When you win these things, you're going to be put into a pool of people who will have the opportunity to win other things. So winning once, something from the Losers Bracket podcast show, will put you in a pool to win something really cool come the end of this year. So that's all I'm going to say. That's what we got. You know what you need to do. If anybody comes on chat and says, hey, how do I do this? I wouldn't fucking tell them. It's too late. Ooh. All right, so there you go. I'm watching the Twitter. I see an Axamander. I've got, let's see, I want to see who's the first person who tweeted that. We're just going to give them a little bit of fame here. The first person was VVV Shadow, then Michael Torek, then Andy B, Gary GSC, BLC Talon. So yeah, I'm seeing. Oh wow! I just refreshed. There are a lot of you out there. Yes, you do. Remember, Blizz XXX2. Nice. All right, and I'll be checking the VV Facebook. Let's talk about IPL though.
Oh yeah,
Kurt. I swear to God, we've got two great guests here. Jason, introduce our two guests. Why they're here. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for a minute though, because I'm gonna say shit, and I don't want to unduly influence anyone, because that's not my style.
No, you would never do such a thing. So
never your style.
Never. So we actually have two guests with us. I'm going to bring them on the show right now. We've had one on the show in the past. One we have not. So one is a member of VV Gaming. The other runs iHeart eSports. You might remember him. We have Jason Tugman over here. He is the man. I actually got to meet him at MLG Columbus, which was great. Good to see you again. Jason, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. I'm a little tired. I'm still in recovery mode, but doing quite well.
Awesome, pretty cool. Looks like your video is frozen at the moment, which is a little sad, but hopefully that gets fixed here in a few. And on top of that, we also have right below me VVV Robb Z God, who actually is the marketing manager for VVV Gaming. He was watching IPL all weekend, so I thought I'd invite him on the show to join the conversation with us. Rob, how are you doing tonight, my friend? Welcome to Losers Bracket for the first time.
Thank you very much. I'm doing very well, and awesome. I'm happy to be here. I'm enjoying the show so far.
Very cool. So before we get into IPL, since it is your first time on the show, tell everyone a little bit about yourself so they know who this person is that's going to be speaking about the event.
Well, I've been involved with VV Gaming since 2007. It's basically my start in esports with Gears of War. Like you said, I'm the marketing manager for VV Gaming, and I handle all the social media, trying to get some new giveaways. So like Jerry said, stay tuned for that. Follow us on Twitter. And yeah, I'm just glad to be here.
Awesome. Very cool. So we had IPL 4 this past weekend. It looks like Jason's actually trying to refresh his mic, his video for us right now. Yay, hopefully he comes back here in a second. But IPL 4, quite an interesting, yay, Jason's here. Quite an interesting event. Tons of news coming out of this. We had the impressive Scarlet, who we shall be talking about, League of Legends breaking over 200,000 concurrent viewers, a couple of places for improvement. I don't even know where we should begin. So let's actually start with Jason, who actually was at the event in Vegas. Jason, how did you enjoy the event? What did you think of it from the floor?
Let's try to cover results, too, first. Before we even get into that, if you don't mind, Jason.
Oh, Kurt, you always have to go screwing everything up.
I do, man. I just think we should probably cover results first. just because we're going to talk a lot about the actual tournament. But I do still want to hear your opinion just about the tournament in general, Jason. So,
Jason, we're going to have to put you on hold because of Kurt.
Production quality. Do what?
Go ahead, Kurt. Go ahead.
Jesse. Oh. I do still want to hear your opinion, though, Jason, about the tournament results in general, though, and just some who we saw, sort of breaking out and stuff like that. Like Jason had mentioned, the redhead over here had mentioned, Scarlett was, of course, a big name for this event. She did incredibly well, taking out Bumblebee Prime, otherwise known as Curious, as well as taking out Jedirobb, who's on, I think, Vile. I think that's right. Yeah, Vile. And also taking the game off FXO Oz, which was, I think, even surprising for her. So anyway, Jason, did you get a chance to take a look at the open bracket much? I know they had the room sort of split up. What was going on in there?
Yeah, actually, that really was the kind of the story coming out of IPL. I was actually in the open bracket room when Scarlett was making her run, and it was, I got to be honest, it was fascinating because we were all just kind of sitting around, as you do in the open bracket room. You just kind of mill about and look over people's shoulder. And then there started to be this little crowd. And there was this bigger crowd. And then this bigger crowd. And everybody started like, what the hell is going on over there? So we're all kind of looking, and the audience had to have been 10 people deep all the way around. So all the way around that table. And it just got and this I think was the FXO, maybe it was Curious or FXO, I don't remember. But everybody was watching, and it was just such an awesome thing because everybody there we couldn't really see. So literally there were people on other people's shoulders, and people would shoutcast the game. And so that everybody else knew what was going on. Okay, she just built this. Oh, okay, he's going for that. Okay, we're on free base. And it was this really awesome, it was this huge excitement in the room. And I got to tell you, I watched, so I was facing her, so I got to see her face as she was playing. And she has the most intense game face I have ever seen. It was almost like she was in a coma. Like her eyes were almost closed, and it almost looked like she was asleep. It was ridiculous to watch, just the focus that she had. It was really, really neat.
I want to jump into a quick question because I think that to me personally, and Kurt always comes onto the show and talks about how important it is to have open qualifiers, to have a casted, to have the opportunity to watch new players arrive on scene. And I want to get everybody's opinion on one thing because, I think I found something interesting watching Twitter this weekend. And I want to ask you first, Jason, and then I'm going to give it all to you, Kurt. I'm actually going to ask Jason and Rob Zigod, and then I'm going to turn it all over to you, Kurt. Jason, in your opinion, and I know this is hard to do, but I want you to pick one news story this whole weekend that you thought that was the most significant and why, coming out of IPL 4, and then I'm going to ask Rob Zigod the same thing, and then I'll give it to you, Kurt.
I don't know how you one significant story. So there were three in my mind. Obviously Scarlett, and I got to give it. I think I got to go that route. But then, I was also in the room when that game dropped. I was actually sitting right behind Mike Morheim when that happened, and talk about awkward moment. And so that was kind of weird. And then the whole game crash thing during the finals was very bizarre. But, again, I think for me personally, it was the Scarlett thing. She came out of nowhere. No one knew who she was. She rocketed up. She was doing really well. Obviously the transgender thing. I was really proud. I was proud of StarCraft 2. I was proud of the community. And I was proud of the way that we, obviously hate is going to hate, but, I was really proud of the way that everybody, at least at the event, embraced her, and I was really, really proud.
Rob Zigod, what about you, buddy? What's your number one story?
Well, like Jason said, there was a lot of great moments at the tournament. But one of the things I noticed that I don't think anyone else really took, that felt was really important, was that David Ting announced that IPL 5 was actually going to be during this fall, and it's going to include the Codes finals during the event. And that, I think, is going to definitely be really exciting. He hinted at that it's going to be at Las Vegas, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, he for people that don't realize, he did an interview with Hotbid, I think is what the interview was, and that's where he talked about Codes is not locked down yet. They haven't been able to lock down Codes finals yet, but they are looking to get Codes finals to IPL 5, which I think we can assume is going to happen now from the way we're sort of hearing things. It was up in the air for a little while, I do believe. He also talked about in the interview something I thought was very interesting, and then I'll get back onto the topic about what my number one story was, which was, according to him at least, and we don't know, once again, we're just going by what he says, the original date for IPL 5 was actually set in August, but it was set on the same weekend as MLG. And they had changed that because MLG had announced their dates, and then they did change it for whatever reason. Could be because they didn't want to conflict with MLG, or could have to do with the fact that they wanted to conflict with MLG and it didn't work out. One of the two. So I found that very interesting, sort of hearing that whole story. Yeah, I mean, what Jason said, I got a few more stories that I think are very important to note. Number one, to me, was Scarlet. I think that is the number one story of the event. But number two, and close number two, is Illusion. That kid, what the fuck? Like, that kid is insane. He came, everybody knew he was a good player. I mean, everybody knew he was a good player. He's a 16-year-old Terran player who's on the team Vile. And he just destroyed that open bracket. He 2-0'd Zinio, Liquid Zinio, which is I believe he's current Codes. He took down 3 current Codes players. He beat Maru, who's from the team Prime. He took out Liquid Zinio, and then he lost to. I'm sorry, I was confused. He lost to Maru. He took down Zinio. He lost to Maru, and then he went to the lower bracket where he took out Kiwikaki, Slayers Ryung, and FXO Oz. Like, wow. I'm pretty sure that's the most Koreans beaten by a foreigner at IPL, at least.
I mean, this kid is on fire. And, if you actually look at his progression, especially just in his notoriety, it's actually been fascinating. So his big breakout moment was actually during the One Nation of Gamers Invitational. So Vile Illusion is actually DC native, so he's here in DC, and so he knows the ONOG guys, and he had that matchup with Cass and I guess Stefano, and then right after that he had IEM Brazil where he did really, really well. And then since then, he's been on everybody's radar. Everybody's paying attention to him. And, every tournament he's getting into, he's doing really, really well. I heard some rumors that I in no possible way can confirm. But to protect the rumor, I won't say which team. But there are some rumors floating around that the Vile and Illusion may not be too much longer, which I find really interesting.
Yeah. That's definitely no surprise. I've heard, certain amounts that he wants, for joining another team, and you can definitely tell that he is, he knows what he's worth, or he either that, or he thinks he's worth more than he's actually worth. One of the two. But either way, he is a damn good player, and he deserves to be on a really good team. I would love to see him stick with Vile, and Vile supporting him well. But that being said, I don't think we'll see him on Vile for much longer. I think it's one of those things where he's taken out way too many players now. Also, talking about Scarlet. Scarlet went announced her fan club that she had actually been approached by a pro Korean team, which we can only assume is Prime. I would think it would be Prime because Prime was one of the only teams there with a full roster, and StarTale's got a full house. So I don't think it's StarTale. So I think it would probably be Prime if it was anything. Which is incredibly interesting for a lot of reasons. Korean teams have a weird sort of thing about girls. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, and it gets really shunned. But really, really amazing play, though. So I think they noticed that. So, and maybe you can talk about seeing that at the event too, because from watching the live stream. Yeah,
I watched. So again, I was in the open bracket room during much of her gameplay, and one of the things that I was laughing with a buddy of mine about was there were so many team owners that were just there and just watching, and you could literally see them salivating. Like, you could see it, and it was really, really fun. And because I saw, again, I don't want to call people out, but I saw more than a few team owners all paying very close attention to her game. And I didn't know about the Korean thing. I wonder about obviously FXO, but FXO Prime, that would be a really interesting pickup, very interesting pickup for them.
Yeah, FXO would be interesting. I'm not sure if FXO Boss was there or not, so I'm not sure how that works. But I think my guess is Prime. But either way, that's interesting to note. So yeah, are there any other sort of untold stories from the event we should talk about before we actually start talking about the event itself? I suppose a few more to cover.
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you guys hear about how the Muslim gave a regame to Scarlet? She built an Evo chamber instead of Pool while being 2 racks, and then he actually lost 2-0 to her. And that was in the off stages. She did it in an interview, which was pretty interesting. The Muslim isn't the kind of player who likes getting an easy win, so props to him.
That's really
definitely props to him. And the funny thing is, I didn't know the Muslim was like that. Like, the Muslim's traditionally a little bit BM, when it comes to that stuff. He really is. Like, you can see he gets, and not necessarily intentionally BM. I think it's more like just he's incredibly passionate and he gets really pissed off. And I think maybe he thought she was a walkover. Maybe he hadn't heard the story yet. I don't know. Or maybe he hadn't played her on ladder, but from the way, another interesting thing is the fact that Scarlett, in an interview before the actual match, she had told people that, she can beat the Muslim no problem. She beats him on ladder all the time. And she basically was talking a little shit there. So you got to wonder if Muslim would still do that. If he
I want to hop in on this because this reminds me of something that happened at MLG Columbus, and I think I don't feel like I want to second guess the Muslim's reasons. I think the Muslim did the right thing. He did the classy thing. He did the thing that represents good sportsmanship. There was that Puma match in Columbus when Puma got eliminated, or at least knocked to the losers bracket. And I remember. I remember the sort of conversation we had at the event going, how hard is it for a player to just do the right thing, right? Like, fans want to see good matches. Fans want to see great games. This sort of idealistic fairness or, oh, my God, you slipped up. Again, I think the Muslim just showed a certain degree of class and good sportsmanship that I'm really glad you brought up, Rob Zagag, because I think it's really something that sometimes lacks in tournament play. I'll get players who come to me and say, someone's 5 minutes late. We should get a DQ. What the fuck if, any professional sport was like that? I mean, we got to think about the fans. The fans are there to see good StarCraft, to see any good esport, regardless of whether it's StarCraft or not. You don't want to win on a technicality. You don't want to win on a DQ. That's just not the way to win. And when a player sort of makes that kind of error and it's obvious, you want to beat the player if you can. By not being in that situation. I think it's just one of those key moments where good sportsmanship, you may not win the match, but I think the Muslim certainly, at least for me, earned my respect. I thought he did the right thing.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I'm glad he did. Definitely glad he did it. So yeah, I mean, anything else at all to cover? I suppose one other thing to note is top 20 places out of the 20 places for IPL 4, 17 were Korean. Let me make sure I'm right about that. Yep, 17 were Korean.
Yeah.
They had Stefano, who basically was... Honestly, no, definitely not that surprising.
Yeah.
Definitely not that surprising.
I mean, everybody there, we were really talking if we were going to get any foreign representation at all. I mean, the one thing that made IPL awesome was, I mean, just like down in the lobby, but everybody was there. It was like the Hall of Fame of StarCraft, right? Everybody was there, and it was so cool to see. But then you look at those ladders. You look at the ladders, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Like I would not want to be a player that weekend. Like holy crap.
And back on point about that, to note, the last thing to note about the placements as well, the 3 players that got placed, the only one that actually got placed because of his results was Stefano. Stefano actually went 3-1 in his group, and the only other 2 players that placed top 20 were Idra and White Raw, who went 0-4 in their group. So they were given a placement, which is fantastic. So really, you got 19 Koreans, one foreigner. So that's hilarious to me. To talk about real quickly about that open bracket, so let's start talking about some of the, I guess, problems that might have happened, and then we'll get back to the overall tournament. A problem with how amazing that open bracket was, in the sense that there were so many top players, and they all played fairly soon, I suppose. It wasn't like MLG in a sense of round 1. You didn't have a walkover. Very few people had walkovers. It was like Code S Korean playing Code B Korean, or Code A Korean, pretty much right after. So, did you hear anything there, Jason, from the players about how they felt about how the open bracket was managed? Because I know it was a very long day for the open bracket players, even longer than MLG. Let's see. I went and played Mafia. We were basically all waiting around. So Team Liquid has a Mafia game that they play, which I thoroughly love playing. And we were all basically just waiting around for the open bracket to finish up. And it was midnight, 1 o'clock, almost, I think there was one game that went on to like 1:15 in the morning or something. I mean, it was late. It was long. And, I don't know how that affected people the next day, but I do know that Saturday was a pretty calm evening. A lot of people, who were still in the tournament, obviously had a very, very long day. And then, not for nothing, those finals went on until like midnight. I mean, good God. So the whole tournament was just very long to watch. Not complaining, not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying you were sitting a lot. It was a lot. Rob Z, what did you think watching it from home as far as the open bracket and the participation with the players?
Yeah, with the players, I watched another interview, and it was with Toffa. He actually mentioned that it was really hard on him having to play from 7 a.m. To 11 p.m. in the open bracket. And for me, I had to stay up until 3 a.m. to finish watching it because I live on the East Coast. And there were still 50,000 viewers strong watching it, so definitely passionate community, I love it.
Yeah, it was definitely a long day. I heard that from my players as well. I mean, we're talking 12 hours, like really, really long days for an open bracket. So I think that's something that they have to work on for the next event. Like, we're going to have an amazing open bracket, fantastic, but you have to figure out a way to split that up like MLG does.
Definitely.
Start it later on in the day, go a little bit later in the night maybe, and then break it into the next day. But I think the GSTL kind of fucked them with that. Like
that's what I was going to say. Was the GSTL? Yeah. GSTL did take some time there. So there's some allowance. But, that doesn't mean that it's not a problem,
Yeah, even still, they've got to work on being able to finish before 3 a.m. on the East Coast, because even though only the most hardcore of hardcore are going to stay up that late, if we want to make this more casual, friendly, more that anybody can pick this up and watch, it's going to be hard-pressed to do it in America when they have to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch the finals,
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've covered the results, for people that don't know the results, we're not going to recite them here for you. You can check out Wikipedia. Alive did win. Squirtle got second. Pretty much in the story there. So now let's talk about the overall tournament and how everybody. Yeah, and now how everybody sort of felt about it. Jason, I'm going to start with you because you were actually there. So let's get a few positives and a few negatives from you. Let's just hear them, and then we'll talk from there.
Let's see. So positives. I don't know how much we're going to talk about League of Legends, but holy God.
Amen.
Yeah. Legends. I walked into the League of Legends room, I don't know, whatever time I got there on Saturday, or Friday rather, and 10 minutes before they even started the first match, that room was literally at capacity. So that room never got below, people sitting on the floor all weekend. Those guys came out and rocked it. So League of Legends was there. All the Riot team was there. They had a huge Riot presence there. League of Legends I kept stopping in that room because it was impressive.
It was funny about League of Legends, too, because when League of Legends started on Friday, StarCraft was kind of dull. And we understood the reason later before that. It was earlier in the day. Game thing started at 11 a.m. So it was very dull for StarCraft because there wasn't a lot of people there. And not to mention everybody was in the fucking open bracket room. Everybody was in the open bracket,
and they were in one room.
Yeah, but League of Legends was packed the entire fucking time. And it was nonstop, and we got a lot of that from watching the live view stream. I'll talk about a little bit about that later. So League of Legends definitely came out in full force. I think IPL really underestimated how LOL would come out. I would say, from just watching the stream, I think I would say it was the biggest LOL turnout for any, I guess, at the very least, any North American event.
Yeah. And their production killed it. They had the awesome stage set up with the rooms that were built, and they had the smoke and the lights going. I just thought that from a production perspective, this is League of Legends and actually StarCraft, but they really, I think, went all out and made it at least spectator friendly. I don't know how it looked on the stream. I looked at a little bit today, but in the room it was. It was high energy. Those guys, they are not passive viewers. They are, screaming and yelling viewers. So very, very fun audience to make.
So you're saying League of Legends has hype? Is that what you're saying?
League of Legends has hype. Right. They're good.
One thing I noticed.
Really, I don't.
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. I was just going to say, I don't know anything about the game, and I enjoyed watching it just because the crowd told me when to pay attention because they were yelling and screaming.
One thing I noticed from the stream, because I watched quite a bit of the League of Legends action, because I don't know if you know this, I am absolutely addicted to the game. I think it's such a easy to get into, fun title to play. But one thing I noticed, and this is something that I guess they're going to have to get over in the future, maybe this is something that Riot's even going to have to address, is character selection. When they went to character selection on the stream, viewers dropped. The viewers just dropped. There was one point where it was pushing 200,000, and during character selection, they literally lost 20,000 viewers. Which in the grand scheme of things, they still had 180,000 viewers at that point, and it slowly climbed back up when the match started going again. But the fact of the matter is that's still losing 20,000 viewers. So I don't know how they're going to conquer that. But at the same time, is there maybe a way to make that a little more exciting for the stream viewers at home? I don't know. That's something I think that we're going to have to address as the future goes on.
I think a big thing, too, will come down to them having to figure out a better way to do picks and bans. Because the way picks and bans work now is it goes, you pick, you ban, it's like BAB, AA, BAB, or something like that is the order there.
Can you actually do that again?
Yeah, seriously.
Because you actually remind me of an old Three Stooges skit that actually has something very similar to that. So, but before we get bogged down into your BAB, I was going to ask this question about this particular topic when it comes to streaming League of Legends. We all that are following Twitter at least or been paying attention know that Riot met with MLG CEO and company, and they were there, and they were with Matt Marco, and Matt Marco and them were obviously talking about, from my understanding, changes to League of Legends to make it such that it's much more, we'll call it television friendly, easier to run commercials, easier to monetize the stream for people that are watching it. And this brings up a lot of things to me. Like, one, we all can agree that I think the entire MOBA genre suffers from this problem. Dota suffers from it. I imagine Blizzard's Dota will suffer from it. League of Legends suffers from it. One, I assume no one disagrees with that, right? You still have these very long games that it's really impossible to take a break in to run commercials and do that. We all kind of agree on that, I think. And then beyond that, right, you have a really agile and savvy company, and I mean Riot, who can, if they realize the value of this, pivot in such a way that that could be the end. I mean, in my humble opinion, I'm not lying. I mean, you can be a Dota fan, you can be Blizzard Dota fan, you can be Asswipe Dota fan, I don't care what Dota fan you are. If Riot does this, the game to me is over. Then the only game worth talking about to me is League of Legends. Because unless Valve pivots, which Valve is not known for pivot, look at the Counter-Strike model, it's known for, I don't know, slowly dragging your feet until you do something kind of the same. So, no offense to Counter-Strike fans, of course. But the point at the end of the day is that if Riot makes this pivot, listens to what Major League Gaming told them, and I'm assuming there's a good reason they flew out there, they're probably aware that this is something to capitalize on. You have this rabid fan base who will attend events. I'm sure MLG will put it on their circuit. And then you have this huge international stream. My question becomes, does League of Legends have the potential to overshadow StarCraft as the top esports because of those things?
That very thought was in the forefront of my mind all weekend. I walked into the League of Legends room, and I genuinely thought, guys, should these dudes be on main stage? Like, I had that thought. And I don't know. I mean, they, at least, I think what they're proving time and time again, IEM, obviously here at IPL, that they can bring out the numbers. They can bring out the live audience. They can bring out the stream numbers that kill the StarCraft 2 numbers. Kill it. So at what point do we say, okay, we at least need to start giving them equal billing as far as space? And, I think IPL did a lot of justice with their production, so I won't, but, at what point do they overshadow? And I think that, that meta is still, they don't have that yet. I don't know that they've got, and maybe it's just because I don't pay attention to that, but I don't know that they have the stories and the history. Obviously it's a new game, but the old players, and I don't know if they have that rich, deep bench of lore that we have with our players, and maybe that's what keeps StarCraft main stage. But I do think that any tournament that's going to do League of Legends has to start thinking, okay, we can no longer put them in Hall B. They need to be in like Hall A2. They need a big space.
And Jason, I agree with you. And Kurt, I'll let you come right in. I agree with you, Jason, except I do think they need to solve that problem about monetizing the stream. And I'm not saying you disagree with that. Yeah. The other thing I want to throw out there to everybody, and I've said this on many a Loser Bracket podcast show, I am a snob for pedigree. I am a snob for pedigree. And from Brandon, their CEO, Bain and Company, you look at Mark Merrill, their president, right? Mark's Merrill Lynch, U.S. Bancorp. I forget their tech guy who does a lot of the platform stuff, has a great pedigree in like MMOs and FPSs, right? He's just been everywhere there. And you look at this team that Riot has put together, right? From Blizzard, from a lot of America's top companies, it becomes really complicated to say that there isn't a huge, like, if I were an investor, right? If this was Wall Street and we were looking at what's the future of Riot Games, it's a bright future, right? And if they solve this problem, they're not only going to have a bright future, they're going to have like the holy grail, right? Because they're going to have taken a game and right, they have to do this first. What I'm about to say sounds easy. It's not easy to execute. They have to take a game and somehow adjust it such that it's more friendly to quote-unquote television, to running commercials, to monetizing the stream without alienating this giant audience that they have.
Right.
But if they do that, I personally believe League of Legends overshadows StarCraft then. And I mean in a very significant way. It becomes the dominant game on the planet. Because StarCraft, as much as it has a long history and a long story, I argue a lot of StarCraft 2 fans are not longtime StarCraft fans. I think a lot of them are not all, they're not all watching GSL and have been for a decade. Not that it's been around for a decade, but have not been watching around GSL for that long. So I don't necessarily, and this is again my opinion, when I look at a broad, and I certainly know all the gamers yet to discover StarCraft certainly don't care about the Korean story. They're going to come into the game, get caught up with their friends, get caught up in the stories and the hype and the quality of the casting. They're in a good position. I think if League of Legends solves this problem, we may have a very different concept of esports in a couple years. That's just my point.
I want to follow up with that real quick. And so we're both business guys, right? So we think about these things. So in order to solve that problem, we have to break that problem down. So what is the problem? The problem is that you can't monetize your League of Legends stream. So you're either a tournament or you're a player and you can't monetize because of the game structure, the way the game is structured. So if the core problem the way that the game is structured, or is the core problem that we have yet to find the right avenue for monetizing a LoL stream? So we're assuming that traditional model, the StarCraft 2 model, or any other game model, which is commercials, is the way to go. League of Legends, and I'm just totally spitballing on this, but I'm just saying that maybe we should look at alternatives like, I don't know, microtransactions, which the game already supports. What are some other monetization methods or opportunities other than changing the game and therefore changing the meta of the game or risking the destruction of the game? So solve the problem, don't shoehorn a solution into a problem.
That I completely agree with. I think, like I said, I do think there's a problem, but I also don't think it's incredibly significant either. I honestly think a bigger problem for the game itself in order to quote-unquote overshadow StarCraft would be the teams. Like, you think about the top teams for League of Legends for the past year. The past year, or longer even, they're all the same fucking team. Like
Solo Mid,
Epic Gamers, CLG, TSM, Fnatic, AAA, all the same team for the past year or longer. There's a problem there with that. And I also think, like you were talking about, I don't necessarily think the problem with monetizing the stream is that significant either. You're looking at a StarCraft match goes what on average? Let's go 25 minutes. Sound about right?
Yeah, you're talking about 3 times the length of that. Just got to think about the big.
I think a League of Legends match on average is 45.
I don't know about that. I think you're
about.
I think you're not counting the.
I'm pretty sure that's right. 45 is about right.
But if you include bans and picks and all that, that's
when
it extends.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead.
But like I said, picks and bans need to be solved either way. That's a separate entity. Picks and bans are something that has to be solved either way because it's boring as fuck. It's a welcome screen there while they pick and ban people. They're going to fix that any fucking way. So that I agree. But yeah, so you're talking about an Adabisi, credit me, they're less than 25 minutes as an average StarCraft match. So you're looking at around, I think, 45 minutes if you take out the picks and bans for League of Legends. It's not a incredibly significant deal. In my opinion, that can't be fixed with just changing up the model a little bit, which of course is easier said than done. Anything else to talk about League of Legends though? Before we move on to,
I just want to add 2 things.
Go right ahead.
The first is about the numbers, and I think a lot of the credit can be given to Riot on that is because if you go on League of Legends, the first thing you see is the stream. You click on that and you're watching the stream. So how it fluctuates like that. It went from Twitch TV went from 200,000 viewers on League of Legends to 500 right after the tournament ended. So I think a lot of the credit can be given to Riot for that. And then for the monetization and the players, I don't think that, how Jason talked about the stories, I honestly don't think that the players are actually marketable. I honestly think League of Legends players and mobile players are actually very lazy and not marketable. I mean, if you look at some of the interviews and you look at some of the team applications VV gets, it's a totally different story from StarCraft and from other games. So that's also, I think, an issue. And that's all I had to add.
Yeah. And there's also technical problems like Tritium and chat brought up too. I mean, there's the game is by no means perfect. And I think, and StarCraft isn't perfect for that matter, but StarCraft, I think, was a little bit more made from the ground up to be, because they knew, ahead of time that it was going to be an esport. They knew that one way or another it was going to be an esport. I don't necessarily think they thought that with League of Legends. Although, of course, I think later on they realized it was a good way to go. So I think they've definitely got some problems there. And like you said, the teams are just incredibly weird. Like, yeah. It's just I can't even explain it. I mean, it's very, very hard to explain. So, yeah. Anyway, any other comments about League of Legends before we move on? All right, cool beans. Yeah, good job to IPL for a League of Legends stream. To me, the League of Legends stream ran incredibly well. One last League of Legends stream, Jason. I'm not sure if you were able to see that. Rob, I'm sure you were if you paid attention to the stream. They did so much better on content than they did on StarCraft 2 side. Yep. They did this filler content where they would bring the players back to the backstage, had an IPL booth set up, and then they would do like analysis of the game. They did that with StarCraft, but I think they got thrown off because it was just so many damn matches. But they did it with LOL incredibly well. They had a nice little chair set up where Rivington would talk to them for like 30 minutes. So, yeah, they did a really good job with that. Anyway, so talk some more about StarCraft. Let's continue on, Jason, if you would, with some of your pros and cons for the event.
So non-StarCraft. So I got to ask an honest question for everybody that was there in chat. Who else went broke this weekend? I mean, this is I'm actually being very serious. The hotel was extremely expensive. And, a lot of the guys, I was talking to some of the ESFI guys, and, a lot of people didn't stay at the hotel. It was expensive. And I don't know, this is their second event, or is it their first event in Vegas? I mean, it was expensive. And just the flights and all of that, flights are flights, but, Vegas is an expensive town. You think it's a cheap town, but it's really not. So I wonder if that, I don't know how that's going to impact, but I know it personally impacted, me, and I would certainly consider, that as an issue if I go back. So.
Yeah, and how they're using that same location for LPL 5, David Ting said. So I'm not sure why they use Vegas, but it's definitely, like you said, it's a problem for trying spectators coming out, and it's a lot of money. So
yep. I mean, that hotel was crazy nice. It was crazy nice, and lots of space, and it was a little hoity, but it was a very nice hotel. But it was really expensive, And I know we had basically the entire 44th floor, and which was really cool because everybody was on, like, all the players and. Everybody was on the same floor, which made it really cool. Actually, the guy who had the room next to me was E.G. Machine. So, he was just on the other side of the wall. That was kind of neat. So, but
I want to hear some cons here, guys, because I think we talked a lot about the pros, and to me, you have to talk about the cons of an event in order to really give them some solid feedback on it. So. Let's hear some cons from you guys.
I think a lot of the mistakes they made were from the people, just internal mistakes, like having the overlay up when they were... The call just dropped?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Okay. Having the overlay up when they're having the camera on their faces, which is kind of a mistake, and they would do that, and they would show camera shots of the crowd during some of the best moments in the game. It seems like some of the production crew of IPL... they weren't familiar with that, and that was a problem I saw. Also, I guess they fired the sound guy, and David Ting actually went out and said that they fired him. So I don't think that was the best way to approach that. And Adam.
I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure they didn't say they fired him.
Well, they said they're going to have a new one for the next day, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, listen, let's do this. Let's not speculate about those kind of things. We've got Jedirobb here who's going to come in from IPL 4, and we'll be able to talk to him directly about some of the things we noticed and give us the inside feel. He hurried home to also hop on to be on the show. So, Jason, why don't we take a quick break? Rob, get some stuff out on social media. Why don't we bring in Jedirobb, and then we'll take, since we got so many guests tonight, instead of doing the phone calls, why don't we just take questions and comments right out of the stream? So to all of our audience in the stream right now, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at, let people know if they have any questions for IPL. Now's the time to ask them.
Jerry, why don't we do this? We could even still take live calls while Jedirobb's on here, because I've already got it all set up that we can do that. So we already advertised that we did it, that we were going to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm just thinking about simplicity. So more interested in getting him here, more interested in getting those questions. I think it's just as easy for somebody to write them as call, but if people want to call, we can worry about that too. So let's break for a commercial, and let's bring on Jedirobb.
Sounds good. We'll be back in just a second, guys. Tweet will be back in about 30 seconds to a minute. We are back with the losers bracket. We had to do a little quick setting up, and we have Jedirobb with us, who actually works with the IPL. He actually, I believe, is their manager of eSports. He actually did Devastation, the event out in Phoenix. He's been on the show a ton of times in the past, but he is actually joining us right now. Rob is in the bottom left-hand corner. We've still got Jason Tugman with us. We've still got Rob Z. God, we've got two Jasons and two Robs on here. What is the world coming to?
A lot.
Oh, I know, right? Rob, as in Jedirobb, first of all, the guy right below me. Sir, how was your weekend working at IPL? Because this is your first event doing it with them, right?
Technically not. We did do an event at South by Southwest, but this is my very first full IPL event.
Right, and in your opinion, how did it go for you, sir?
Swimmingly. It went really well. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand is with any live event, there is a series of issues and items that will come up. Anytime you have a large amounts of people and logistics and things, you're going to have stuff that comes up. Everything from production items to stuff that didn't get shipped that should have been shipped, or stuff that's late, or stuff that gets shipped in wrong, to too many people at one time. There's all those things, and I love that stuff personally. That's why I get to do those items for IPL.
Sweet, awesome. So with that being said, we've actually started taking some questions even from the chat, I do believe. So guys, Jerry, Kurt, how do we want to start this up?
Well, let me start by welcoming Rob again. It's great to have you back on the show. Thanks. Congratulations on IPL 4. I think a lot of phenomenal news. As we were talking about, great stories, Scarlett as example. We were talking about a lot of the pros that came out of the event, we thought were really good things. And we were going to get to kind of the negatives, and then we thought, well, let's bring Rob in so that we're not, speculating on these. We can talk about some of them, like the sound issue and stuff like that.
So we skipped all the good stuff. I come in for the bad stuff. Oh,
well, I'm gonna hit you with a few more good things. I'll right hook you, and then I'll try to kiss you on the cheek or something like that every once in a while, buddy. Don't worry.
I think that's double negative, by the way.
I think so too. I think you're not getting a good deal no matter which way. I'm telling you right now.
Not good for me either way. Carry on.
So let's just continue talking with the topic of conversation here. Jason, Rob, hit me with your cons of the event, and then we'll sort of talk about some of them. Jason, I know your cons for the event are probably different than Rob's because a lot of them were stream issues. But Jason, I do want to continue with you before we go to Rob. Are there any other con issues you think that from actually being at the event that you want to talk about, either player perspective or your perspective?
I wish that I had more cons. But I don't, and I think that the location for me was, I think the hotel was probably my biggest con in being there. But I thought it was just expensive. But that's such a non-tournament thing. As far as the tournament goes, especially from a production perspective, it was awesome. I actually can't wait to do my production video, and I don't mean to slobber when Rob is on, but I really did enjoy it, and I thought it was awesome, and I thought that what they did all the goods. They did so many good things that, and that's the stuff that I focus on. So I tend to focus on.
You optimist, you. Look at you. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, and then I'm going to go to Rob Zgod about the stream and stuff like that. But I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
And you don't have to answer, but I wish you would. IPL, MLG, best production so far. Which one?
So, actually, I will give it to IPL, and I'll tell you why. Because IPL did something. I think they learned from MLG. The crane was crazy awesome. And also MLG, and actually my next video is going to be on the MLG one. The MLG lost so many points in my mind with their B stream. It was just flat out unacceptable. I think that what they did with the open bracket here and then the casters booth, all that stuff. I liked it. I always like casters on stage, and MLG puts casters backstage. I always like casters on stage personally. So I like to be able to look at them from a spectator perspective. And then their lighting was killer. They actually did a lot of really awesome lighting things, and they did actually course corrected along the way when they were doing their crane. They didn't, they weren't lighting their audience, so you were just basically scanning over black, and then they fixed that, the next day. So their lighting cues were a little wonky at first, and then they corrected those. They got better and better. So, but again, that's the stuff that I nitpick. A lot of people nitpick the games. I nitpick the production. So
that's why I asked you the question, buddy. All right.
It's a totally different event, though. It's totally different because
this
isn't a conference room with a little bit more, with one game, one room. So you can design the lighting towards that game. You can actually have lighting cues for the game. MLG can't do that. So, or at least to the extent in which they did it. So. It's just
it's not exactly a fair comparison by any means. I mean, there are completely different venues, probably completely different, problems that MLG would have to run into with things like that crane and stuff like that, and the weird sort of strobe lighting they had. So I do agree there. So Rob Zgod, that is. I want to get your opinion from the stream perspective because I know things were completely different sometimes from the stream perspective. So, what were your cons about the event? What didn't you like? What's from the stream perspective?
Well, my biggest thing as an online viewer was the scheduling. My question is basically, do you have any plans to improve on the scheduling in the open bracket, and also plans to get on some of the open bracket matches on the main stage because the open bracket was so packed and had probably some of the best matches at the tournament.
Question to me?
Yeah. Do you have plans to improve the scheduling?
And just to clarify, so a lot of the gameplay issues, because we have different production directors and things for the different elements at the event. So I don't necessarily oversee, the actual tournament of StarCraft per se. My fighting games are under my purview as well as the overall event logistics. But I did hear, and we haven't had our postmortem ourselves, that there are going to be changes implemented in the way that we handle the qualifier open bracket. Especially, I know that there was some concern. I know we made some changes late in the tournament to actually bring some more of those matches from that room over because it was so well seated in there. So the short answer is yes, and what those changes are, I can't actually define for you at this point.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, so Rob, any other cons from the stream perspective? I mean, there were a few classic, sort of problems for this weekend. Or anything else you want to talk about?
I think some of the things I mentioned before was about the overlay being on but I think those are just personal errors, and also the other thing was having the camera guy, the crane being pointed at the crowd during some of the key moments during StarCraft, or panning to the player's face during some of the matches where the commentators were saying, "Oh, this is the best moment of the game. They're both about to push into each other's armies," and then we don't even get to see it. So, I mean,
Yeah, and that crane is actually, I think they call it a jig in production. And that was something that we actually outsourced and brought in. We actually paid for that to come in there and operate. And I think it took a little bit to get the vibe and the communication going along with those guys. Jib, excuse me, I said jig, didn't I? Jib. And it took a little bit to kind of get that into a smooth move when we were dealing with all those other camera shots that we had to kind of incorporate those. So I think that it was just kind of hey, this is our first time really playing with that particular piece of equipment.
So nobody wants to hit a hard ball, so I'm gonna hit a hard ball here. So
Oh God!
I'm glad you are, because Lord knows I wouldn't.
No.
We're talking about some of the problems here. Let's talk about some of the classic fucking problems. Let's start with GSTL, buddy. GSTL definitely had a big issue where, of course, I think it wasn't MKP that cut out. It was one of the Prime members, right? Or one of the StarTale members. I'm not sure, but it was one of the members anyway. They cut out mid-game. David T had explained the reasons why, and I'm just kind of curious about this, man, because to me, looking from the outside in, and from what I've heard from other people, it's really a rookie mistake. And if it is, that's perfectly fine. Everybody makes them. But I'm just kind of curious if that's what it was. It was simply you guys had not talked to the hotel ahead of time and like, look, don't fucking reset our passwords every 24 fucking hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can actually speak to that one a little bit. So the internet, that issue became actually literally an internal internet reset. And the hotel has not ever done an event like this ever, of course. They've never had an event where it's so internet heavy where we're talking about streaming live, gameplay live kind of event. This was the first time they were doing anything like that. And while we walked through every known factor of things and stuff that we could possibly do, that particular item, even though it was brought up, it was addressed, but it was just something that maybe somebody didn't click and save a particular setting, because that was something that we actually addressed. It just, human error. Things happen, people forget. And unfortunately, it just happened to happen, or happened to, come out while we were in the middle of a very, a match. It doesn't matter what match, it was a match. And so that's what the real big issue was with that. It just simply was something that just wasn't done correctly.
Gotcha.
I have nothing else to say other than it was a oopsies. It was just an accident. Somebody didn't actually have that setting, that protocol saved in that particular set of IPs, because we had stuff everywhere. If you saw the different rooms that we had and all the different internet protocols for staff, for sponsors, for the different areas, for the game machines were on a different net, as well as the stream. It just so many moving parts, and just somebody forgot one particular item to address.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have a feeling that guy won't forget that one particular thing anymore.
Oh, he will. At least, but he'll forget that particular thing. He'll just, that won't happen on another one. So it'll happen in the qualifier room. So many parts. And and realistically, if it was an hour later, we probably wouldn't have noticed. It was probably one of our commercials that went down. Oopie doo doo, I had to write that.
Yeah. So and now into I guess sort of the second thing, which is Nesty and his. Computer sort of cutting out there. What exactly happened there? Because I feel like that's the only one that people have no fucking idea what happened. All we know is that his keyboard and shit cut out.
Yeah. So again, I wasn't in the midst of that. I happened to be right on stage because I was actually coordinating that whole this. You guys saw the sponsor thing with the AMD, the little cheerfuls that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was literally setting that up, getting ready for that. That was actually supposed to happen at the end of that. And we just kind of, since we had downtime, we didn't want to kind of, interrupt anything. So we kind of impromptuly did that. So he was raising his hand during the match. He was having an equipment failure. I know the keyboard went out. I can't tell you if it was the USB that went out. I think it was actually just the keyboard itself. He was missing some buttons. He was trying to move it. It wasn't working. So they were trying to they had to put a new set of drivers in there for the next keyboard that they threw in there. I don't know all the very specifics. I just know it was a hardware malfunction that they fixed on his end.
Okay, so another quick question is, I've heard feedback from a lot of players that there were a bunch of computer problems, both in the open bracket and some of the main stage stuff. Are you sort of aware of that? And if you, or am I just being misinformed? And if you are, what the fuck was the problem?
So, great question. Thanks. Yeah, so there apparently was some issues with the computers. Can you hear me okay? Oh.
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I clicked the button. I shouldn't have touched it. I'm going to put my hands over here. So there was a couple of issues, but I think they were everything from power related to internet. Just some of the things, some of the routers and things were just overheating, some of the placement of some stuff, and just fans not blowing on things. So I know there was a myriad of issues. I don't think there was any one particular issue that was happening. It wasn't like the PCs were failing. I think that people were jarring stuff and knocking some things. Some of those that happen. We don't lock up our computers out of players' hands. So anytime you have people touching stuff, they can inadvertently disconnect a power cord or something like that a little bit, and it gets jarred and it comes out. So there was a few issues, but I think it was just because we had so many people touching so much equipment at any time. That help?
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm just glad to know that there was a problem because, like I said, I've been told by players that there was. And MLG experiences those similar issues, and so does IEM. It's kind of a fairly unfortunately common thing when it comes to computers at events. I have no idea why, man, but if they're going to fucking break, they're going to break.
Bats break in baseball all the time, right? It's whatever your tools of your trade are. There's going to be issues because people are involved and things are happening with them. So,
yeah, got you. All right. So let me ask you a question, just overall about the event, and then I guess I'll pass to everybody else if they got some questions. What have you guys both, if you can speak towards David Ting and some of the other guys if you can't understand, but and we've reached out to David Ting to try to have him on the show sometime soon. But what have you learned from the event, both negative and positive? So what are you looking to change? What hasn't fucking worked out to where you're like, give us just your overall feedback about the event.
So I'll speak from my own personal just take on having conversations with people. We haven't had our postmortem ourselves. I mean, I literally just flew home today. So we've had a couple of short ones as things were happening on throughout the event and kind of, because as you saw, we implemented changes throughout the weekend. As we saw something or took some feedback, we would do something with that. And so I think that a bigger focus will be taken on the qualifiers or how we handle the qualifier room and those particular matches. Again, I can't say what will happen with that. I just know that people are wanting to address that particularly. And I'll throw out there, I see a lot of K-pop. I don't know about the K-pop guys. It was fun. A lot of people liked it. It went over well in the LoL room, but it didn't go over so well in the StarCraft room, I heard. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But certainly looking at some items like that, I think working with GSTL was great. I think that was something that we might see some more of in the future. We'd like to see some more collaborative efforts for events. Trying to think if there's anything else glaring. Like there was just a lot of little small things, not necessarily like game-breaking things. We certainly are going to look at space, how we set up some of the stuff. LoL room was packed, standing room only for lots of times. StarCraft room did fill up, but it was primarily, on the big days, on Saturday and Sunday. But we were kind of constrained in space in the facility. So if anybody's ever run an event, I've done them, the facility issues are always a problem. It's like you never have enough space for what you need to have, or you have too much, and you're trying to find that balance to create the event, have a great atmosphere, and not look like you're in a cavern or there's not enough space. So that's always an issue. That will always be an issue.
I want to ask a question about the live view stream.
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure how familiar you are with it as far as like if you one of the ones helping run it or anything like that. But me personally, and I'm speaking just personally, I absolutely loved that stream. That stream was fantastic. And the reason it was fantastic is it provided content that you didn't see anywhere else.
Yep.
It was behind-the-scenes stuff, completely off the cusp. Nothing was like, hold on, let me put on my suit and fucking tie or anything like that. It was completely unrehearsed, and you could tell that Lonnie's just fantastic at that. And their entire crew. So did that, just my only question about that is, did that go over as well for me as it did for the rest of the viewers and or the people at IPL? So are you guys happy with the turnout of that stream?
Yeah. Actually, we were ecstatic with not only the viewers on the stream, but the social interaction. If you were looking at the streams and the Twitters that were going on for that, it was phenomenal. Just being able to connect with the people in a different and unique way instead of a chat like this. So they would blow up something. People are asking, what do you want to see? They would go find it and do those things. That went over really well, and expect that to be built up a bunch in future events, because we really did like that.
Sweet. Good to hear. All right, let's get everybody else in.
I have a question. The finals, the 2 best-of-5 format, how do you think that works? And my opinion was, we got through the first, BO5 in the finals, and you're like, okay, and then coming up next, the second BO5. And for me personally, it took the wind out of me. It was just a really long final. Are you guys happy with that format, or do you see that kind of staying around?
This is one of those ones where I have to go, I don't know. I'm not, being a fighting game guy, we don't play like that so much. That's not the way we set up those things. So that's even a little bit newer to me, the way that we do the group play. I'm familiar enough with it, but I can't say that we will or will not change that. It's not really under my purview for that. I'm sure that at some point it'll be discussed with me, but I don't have an answer for that one right now.
Cool.
Sorry.
All right, Jerry, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I walked away with that it wasn't so much cons. I mean, I'm really happy that there's an IPL 4 and a Major League Gaming. I really am. And I'm really happy that there's a competitive spirit between the two organizations because I can see it drive innovation. I'm just being honest. I think what you point out, Kurt, a lot of the pros, I agree with. I think that for me, sometimes it was hit or miss, but I think most people would agree with Kurt, and they would say that the B stream, sort of the getting out, the live view, was really a great feature. They loved it. A lot of positive comments. I think there's something interestingly unique about both. I have to agree with Jason also that the venue, I mean, again, this is something we have to think about business models. If you are running a small event and how you're monetizing it is all on stream, it doesn't matter if it's expensive for people to attend. I mean, it's expensive to go to a football game. So, I don't see the venue price being quite that big of a deal when I look at IPL's business model. It would, I think, not be what I'd expect from a Major League Gaming event, but for IPL, not horrible to their financial success. Would I want it in a different venue? Do I think it should be in a different venue? Yeah, I don't know if casino's the place I'd want to be. I think that we want to keep growing it, but at the same time, I don't know if it's critical to IPL. So that kind of brings me in the neutral ground on that comment. One thing that I also think is really interesting is that there was a lot of attention given to the partners in a very unique way. There was the, support those who supports eSports. And I want to sort of get, from your perspective, Rob, what were some of the key goals that IPL was trying to hit? Now, you don't have to talk about a specific sponsor per se, but how are you guys going to benchmark your own success? Stream numbers, sponsor satisfaction, combination of all the above? What do you think are some of the key benchmarks IPL is looking at?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, everything from financial to overall numbers and statistics to sponsors. If the sponsors are happy, it kind of doesn't even matter in some way, right? If at the end of the day they're like, yep, we love it, we'll be back, we're going to support more, that's a super win. I mean, I think that's the core for anything like that. The only thing that's more important in my eyes than that is to make sure that the players and attendees love it, because they're the people who make or break our success, right? Those are the people that heavily influence if people watch, if people come, if people attend. If they think it sucks or they don't like it, they're not going to support it. And then there we go, screwing up our sponsors' love. They don't like us anymore because we're not doing a great job. So I think any event has to look at all those factors and work it out. This is Rob's personal opinion, Jedirobb, personal opinion. I like the venue. It's a beautiful venue. And it worked for this one as far as it was, but I don't think, and I know personally, like long term, it will not be the single venue that will be able to facilitate the things that we want to do there. I think that we'll have a presence there. I think we'll keep doing stuff, but space-wise, it just is not going to facilitate our growth, I think. And so will there be changes in the future? Probably. Will they be still included? I think so, because I think that we really like that partnership. I think that worked really well. And as far as the expense, yeah, I mean, I think it was 120 to 150 a night for people, which can be expensive. I guess it depends on how much you travel and where you stay at, and what people are used to for a lot of those rates. It wasn't too terribly bad. The food stuff was a little bit expensive, but you're in Vegas and you have lots and lots of opportunities. So hopefully people have felt that they had an option when they went there to be able to stay other places and eat other things and stuff. But we really, really appreciate all those that did stay at the hotel and those that did support the hotel by purchasing things in there like food, beverages, drinks, all that stuff, because that helps going back to the making sponsors and people happy, it helped make them happy and make them more apt to work with us in the future, maybe even to lower rates and make it overall less expensive for people to come and attend.
The rates were $220 or $250 a night, weren't they?
I believe I have to go back and look. I think the initial special promotional prices were less than that. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. I think the room rate was, and that's where I was taking the exception. It was definitely over $200 a night. But
David, Jason, you have to penny pinch like a boss, man. Come on.
Nice.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? I mean, I think, again,
if I go to Soldier Field here in Chicago to watch a Bears game, my parking is going to be over $100. All right, just as an example, right? So if I go to the Bears game on Sunday, I am spending at a minimum ticket, food, and other things $500, right? That's the price of going. So I don't think, like I said,
that makes me want to cry.
I'm just being honest, right? I'm just saying that I don't think it is the end of the world to worry about the event costs per se, because I really feel like we have this, when business, when the free market hits something, when the free market intersects with an activity, things change. And Major League Gaming, major player in the field, has a feel. IPL has a slightly different feel. Definitely room for both. We're seeing that as it plays out. That seems to be obvious. I would like to get a couple questions in, Rob, that are kind of not directly related, but I think they sort of come into play. The first one is, well, I know you were driving in, but we were talking a lot about League of Legends and the challenges of monetizing the stream.
Sure.
I don't know if that's necessarily you would agree with MLG's position that it is something difficult to do, or because I know they talked to Riot about that. When you have a game, from the moment that the players sit down and you click on the stream and they start their picking and counterpicking to the time it's really ended, you've got sort of a long stream, and that makes it more difficult to monetize. Agree, disagree? What do you feel?
Well, I certainly think it provides a challenge as far as how and when to monetize. For instance, on fighting games, like we have lots and lots of opportunities to throw commercials and stuff in there and be able to monetize in that way. But at the same token, you can't do that because the players and the people watching are just losing their mind because you're breaking up the momentum. As you guys mentioned earlier about the way that like the 2 5v5s went, it kind of really killed the momentum and what you were feeling at that point. For longer games, it's harder to put those ad rev share things in there, but that's why people are looking towards the model of, hey, well, we can't commercialize on that. Could we perhaps provide HD experience or other channels that provide value so you can, monetize it in that way? I think that's kind of the direction that we're going to be taking is what other content, what other things like the live view and stuff can we provide to you that not necessarily you have to watch a commercial for? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let me ask this, and I just want to follow up with that question.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view. I'm a fan of charging people. I think I've made that, position clear to Major League Gaming, and I would be a fan of IPL charging for quality content. What's your thought on that idea? I know it's probably very foreign to somebody who comes from the fighting game community, especially since you do a fantastic job with Devastation, but I think this is at a slightly different level, obviously, and I think paying is a way. How do you feel about it as Rob, not speaking for all of IPL?
Jedirobb. So I wear two hats at all times. I wear my community hat, the guy who's been out there on the street all these years, and I also wear my professional business hat. And one doesn't like it, one understands it. I understand it both ways. So to be able to do these events and take care of the costs and things that we have with that, we're always looking for ways to monetize it. And then even on the small level, little guy wants to find a way to monetize it as well, because anything that you can cover helps stop it from coming out of your pocket or make you dependent on others, right? Everybody wants to be self-sufficient, so we're not having to actually rely on our success. Is that sponsor going to sign? Am I going to be able to have my event? I don't know. I think that as long as we keep it reasonable and build value, I think that's the biggest issue. It's not that the stuff that we do isn't great, but we have to have the drive there that we produce something so exceptional that people are willing to pay for that in pay-per-view, essentially, is what we're talking about. Doesn't matter if it's a boxing match or, a StarCraft 2 stream. So I think that I'm good with it. I definitely want to watch the way and the cost that we do with that and how we bundle that package and what that looks like to be able to spread it as thinly as possible across the people. I'd rather see more people paying a very small amount than, hordes of people paying $20, $30 a stream for that stuff. It's just not there yet in my eyes. And I might get in trouble for saying that, but I don't think that we provide enough stuff yet to just be charging people through the nose per stream.
I think it's an interesting thing because I think value is a key component to whatever you're doing. And I'm going to have one more question. I'm going to turn it over to Kurt, who I know is dying to ask some questions. I put a tweet out this weekend about human capital. It was after people were commenting about the sort of sound problem. And what you just said really kind of dovetails nicely to the point that I was trying to make, which is, look, I don't see the sound. We do something that not a lot of people have the opportunity to go to school for. We do things that are cutting edge and new, even though people do them, doing them at the scale that IPL and MLG do them, and the technology that we interface, meaning video games in particular, bring all sorts of unique sets of challenges. I think that's fair to say. Mm-hmm. And I think with that, people have to be patient with the fail and learn model. That MLG has failed and will learn. IPL will fail and they will learn. That failures or mistakes don't necessarily make one event greater than the other. It's really going to be an equation about how well they retain people through those trial and error periods, which is one of the cons I had about David Ting's post, just so everybody knows what I didn't like, was this idea of, I'm going to fire someone. Well, wait a minute. Was that ego? Was that knee-jerk reaction? Because if that person made a legitimate mistake and can learn from it, they now have experience you may not want to be so cavalier with getting rid of. Sure. I don't know if you can comment to that or not, or just want to sort of bounce off my challenge there.
Sure. And to clarify, firing, there's, when we look at things, look at people that are there helping out, volunteering and doing stuff, and then there's people that you pay to be there, or there's a relationship with metrics involved, right? It's no different than if you go to your work and you don't do the things you're supposed to do, you could be fired. So when there's that kind of transaction happening, then people, yes, they could be fired. You're not doing right, you're gone, because there's no emotional tie there. Does that make sense? Am I talking out my ass?
No, you're absolutely right. I got you.
Yeah, so in the case of any people that were on the production team that were actually there from a company that we hired that weren't bringing it up and able to make changes, and we put somebody else in that position, that would fall under the purview of firing and removing stuff, not some guy who's trying to learn and do something. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So in this particular sense, with the sound issue and things, what we did is we removed the person that was working on that was actually a pay for type employee, and replaced him with somebody else. Then I guess that solved the problem, is my understanding.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, they were still there to be taught and pick up the things. They just weren't in control of the board anymore. So it's not like we removed them from the facility. So they weren't doing that job anymore.
Gotcha. They're giving them a little less responsibility so they can sort of recover from their error.
Yeah, it was something like that. There was a knowledge gap there, and there was just an inability to do things. And it's one thing for somebody to raise their hand and going, "Hey, and not getting it."
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. Kurt, I want to let you jump in because I know I monopolized that a little bit. Go ahead.
That's fine. So a few more questions. Number one, I want to get back quickly, just a quick question about LOL. I absolutely loved the content for LOL, and I talked about this earlier in the show. The content was incredibly solid for LOL. And I'm not sure if the reason behind that, I want to hear some more of the reason behind that, because I think the StarCraft 2 content ideas were there. You had Trisha there, who was supposed to be doing some analysis interviews after. She is a fantastic interviewer, especially for analysis, because she knows what the fuck she's talking about. That's fantastic, but it didn't quite work out as well as probably had planned. Just because either delays in the stream or, there's so many amazing open bracket matches, stuff like that. But LOL worked out really perfectly in the sense of bringing people back and, sitting them in a chair and be like, here, answer some questions. Did Riot have a lot to do with that, considering Riot were the people that were interviewing him anyway? Or was it really just an IPL thing in that instance?
I think it was a combination. I know the Riot guys helped do that stuff, but we actually had our production team, right? We actually had two wholly separate production teams internally running those two different stages. We had one master control, one stage on one side, and a whole other team on the other side. And I think given the content and the opportunities and the scheduling on the LOL, just that itself helped produce better content. If that makes sense? I think it just was able to flow much better. I think it's just maybe the people, the interaction. I will say this, this is Jedirobb, the outsider guy coming in and being new to LoL and StarCraft 2. The LoL guys were consistently excited. They were enthusiastic and out of their minds from the day the door opened and we had capacity in the room until it closed. And it took the StarCraft guys a little bit to kind of get going. Maybe they're just late risers and they can't get up early in the morning and get hyped. But it just seemed that vibe in that room, and that really does make a difference. Anybody who's been at a live event, who sat on a stage and casted or worked with anything, when the room is hot and it's working with you, it really makes a difference. It makes everything seem to pop better. you get a little bit of dissension or people just kind of mulling. It just kind of seems like it drags on, and maybe it permeates through all the different staff and people. I don't have a specific answer, but just that was my take on it from what I experienced at the event.
Gotcha. Okay. A quick question about the turnout of the event, and I understand if you're going to have a hard problem answering this.
Sure.
But we've heard sort of rumors about IPO in the sense of we have heard that there were rumors, but there were certain numbers needed to be hit in order for it to be considered a success stream-wise, both probably buying the upgraded HD pass and also generally viewing it. We've heard the number 200,000 quite a few times from them, from you guys, and you guys did considerably better than 200,000 concurrence. That is.
Yep.
I mean, I think from what I saw at least, it was probably more close to 300,000 at one point in time.
Yep.
So that's good stuff. But I want to hear. I just want to hear, based on these results from this event, do you think the plans for IPL? So we hear about David Ting talking about the plans, quote unquote, that he wants to have qualification events that all lead up to a final event, and sort of have these sort of individual qualifiers for regions and stuff like that. Very similar to what MLG is doing now. Mm-hmm. But he was talking about it before. So what do you think that's still the plan? Do you think this is actually going to work?
Yeah.
Let's cut through the shit kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. I cut right to the bullshit. I don't fluff, because I actually, most of the time, I don't have enough information to fluff. I just know the facts. So I guess. For as far as our success of the event, killed it. And I think when people hear, I don't know if it's a perception on what they've seen from MLG or other people. I can't speak to what people think when they hear these things. However, for us, when we have expectations internally, we have goals. We have things that we want to hit. And so we're like, this is what we want. We want to do this, and that's going to make it the success for us. That's what we want. That's just our internal metrics as far as what we're striving for, right? Everybody has to have a benchmark or a goal way up there that we want to hit. And while we didn't hit our highest number, we killed what we thought we would do. We did a great job. And every sense of the word, the event was a success, from on-site activation as far as people being there, our sponsors, like the numbers on the stream, every aspect, I think, on our metrics was hit and then some. So yes, the event was a success. So anybody who says anything else is not right. Now, I don't have the final P&L done, again, because I just got home. But from everything that we've had up until this point, we did great. So that's done. And then as far as moving forward and then the different elements and things we're going to do, yes, we have other relationships, other games that are going to be coming on. We've got other titles. We're looking at other venues as far as other events throughout the year, in addition to our events, to online qualifiers, to all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, I don't think I should tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Like, we're already working on IPL 5 logos for qualifiers and other stuff that's going to be firing up very shortly. So, yeah, the plan is.
So, what other titles are you looking at?
That's exactly what I was about to say. At least
Rob, can you give me as my sister used to say when she was younger, can you give me a genre of games, maybe?
A genre?
Exactly.
Well, I think I've said before, I think that the genres of games that we are looking into are shooters, fighters, and sports games. That's the things that are left, right? And maybe even another PC title.
You never can. What other PC?
Whoa!
Oh no, he wasn't talking about Counter-Strike.
No.
Oh, by the way,
God.
just
He wasn't talking about Counter-Strike here. I mean, come on.
Every time I get on, I have to remind you that it's not going to happen.
That makes me so happy. That's why I bring Rob on. I'm done, actually. We can call the show now. That's all I actually bring Rob on for.
I swear to you this, Keon. The day that it does happen, I will tell Jerry that I have to be on the show no matter, I don't care what program he's having, and I will get on and I will personally tell you, by the way, this is happening for you.
I swear to God, Kurt, you have become to Counter-Strike what Jason is to rhythm games. No, and I mean Jason Paradox.
Martyr?
I don't know if that's martyr, yeah, whatever you want to call that.
Damn it.
But the difference is, Jason, I promise I'll always have a rhythm games of devastation for you. There you go.
Hey,
as long as I do that, we'll always have that. We'll never have Counter-Strike.
These console kids are just bitter. Get out.
Keyhunt, if you want, I'll let you organize. If you want to start putting something together, we can do something at the event, and you can have Counter-Strike. You can have a home for it. Ready?
Why do I laughing? Why is that funny to me? All right, so here, wait. I want to talk about a couple of things before we sort of have to wrap this up. Broad picture to the panel. I sort of broad question to everybody that's here. I mean, a lot of smart people here. I am beginning to feel like technology, this sort of perfect storm. We have two contenders in North America for really good esports content, Major League Gaming and IPL. I know a lot of people like Nazzle. I don't spend much attention to it, so I'm guilty, but I'm looking at these two as having events that have drawn my attention, and I think getting my attention is part of what you must do. I must feel some hype. Great stories that come out of Major League Gaming events, great stories that come out of IPL events. You're both competitive with each other. You're both trying to drive more value to the spectator, which is great for us, the spectators, right? Competition is good for the consumer, that sort of thing. When you look forward, Jedirobb, what challenges does esports, and these don't have to be IPL specific, these could be those big picture challenges that both maybe you and Major League Gaming or Nazzle have yet still to struggle with, or still sort of are on the horizon. What are some of those things that have yet to be solved?
Oh, that's so much.
All right.
So, my picture went away. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I fixed it. It should come back.
It's okay. It's going to come back. No worries. You should have left that picture up there. It was beautiful.
Sorry. You'll be all right. All right. So the question is like, what kind of challenges, technology or otherwise, do we have in enlarging esports?
And growing it and expanding it. Sure, I'll go with that one.
With all things, it's how do we connect to the community at large? Like every day, I meet people that have no idea that anything like this exists. So I think that this is the same thing we've chatted about before. It doesn't matter if it's esports or and just knowledge of the community. Like poor Jason, there's people out there that still play Rock Band, but they don't know that there's places maybe in people that they can aspire to be or be like, right?
That's so
LOL.
I feel like I'm going to hang my head in shame, but at least your picture's frozen again.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to take it off. It's gone. So I've said before, accessibility and awareness. Accessibility, we're really getting to the point where it's not an issue. Most people have the internet. There's lots and lots of people that can understand Twitch and these other channels, and so that's becoming less of an issue. Other than who doesn't have that stuff, I guess. Awareness is always the issue. How do we create awareness to people that are potential viewers and attendees? And that's the trick. That's the biggest problem. I think technology, even the stuff that we did this weekend, we're talking about, we're not, what the heck's that damn show? Like any of the TV level production yet, but it's really close. The things that we do with the jib, with the stuff, with the production, with those things, I think it just needs to be tightened up so it can maximize every particular minute, so people can see more matches and more of the content that they want. But I think a lot of that production level stuff is there as well. It has the chance for people to see that. It's awareness. End of story. It's getting all those viewers. It's getting all those people either aware that it exists or entice them enough to try it and turn into it and see if they might watch it.
Yeah, I've got a few final questions, but before I do, I want to get Jason and Robb and see if you guys have any questions. I know you guys have been sitting there quietly for a little while.
Rob, I actually just made it so that your picture would fit perfectly, and then you're turning your video on again, so now I gotta fix it again. God damn it. Everyone's
I saw you did
this episode.
I totally did. I was watching that. I'm like, oh, he's fixing it. I'm going to unfix it. I'm going to keep trying to see what kind of cool picture I can freeze on.
All right, Jason, so what about you, buddy? What questions do you have, Jason?
Oh, why does the world hate me right now? No, let's see. In regards to
Jason Tugman! Tugman! Tugman!
No, please. Go ahead. I'm going to sit in the corner. I'm going to face the corner. Go ahead, Jason.
So, I think that I'd actually like to build off of what Jedirobb was saying there. I think that between the MLG and the IPL, right, so everybody's dealing with the one-upsmanship, and definitely the production is there. We're all upping our game as far as the production. I definitely think that there's, every time we do a tournament, that is increasing, and it's getting better, and it's getting more fun to watch. It's getting more interactive. That downtime, all of those elements are getting there. I actually think that between the MLG and the IPL thing, I'm really curious about something that nobody's really talked about yet, which is differentiation. So how do we differentiate between MLG and IPL? So right now it's just a gaming tournament, but I think there's lots of opportunities, and I think that IPL being a part of IGN is in a very unique position to do this. And as far as the outreach thing goes, obviously that relationship with IGN is, being a content company, and therefore I think that's where the differentiation comes in, is in that content, it's in that story. IPL and IGN in that relationship is in a very unique position because they can actually script, or, if they put one content editor at IGN and start building and pumping stories, and as they come up, kind of like what Slasher is doing at GameStop, and having that build up, and then we can actually develop stories so we actually kind of care about the people, and this is the people coming from the outside, build those stories, and then IPL 5, you can have some really interesting differentiation happening. But I actually think that in 2013, I think what we're going to be looking at is how is IPL different from MLG or even IEM or Nazzle, and I do agree that Nazzle needs to, they have a lot to prove. But I think that's probably the next step. Is right now, this year and the last part of last year was all about getting that production in check, and I think that's been happening really awesome. I think that next thing is how are tournaments going to be different from each other.
All right, with that being said, I'm looking at our time, and we have gone over 2 hours, and I think we got to wrap it up. So I want to give Jedirobb first a chance to give any shout-outs. Then we're going to give Jason from iHeart eSports a chance to say his, and then we're going to wrap the show. I will announce the winner of both giveaways, and then we're going to call it a night because otherwise we'll keep talking all night because I love talking to Jason. I love talking to Rob. I love the panel we have tonight. But we got to wrap it up. So, Jedirobb, I turn to you. Again, I want to say to you personally, congratulations on a fantastic event. It's great to see all this great stuff going on. I noticed MLG claps in the stream and obviously enthusiastically agreed with your assessment on reach and outreach to general gamers. I hope in a small way that's something VV Gaming does really well, is we're able to sort of wrap our arms around gamers who are new to esports and really get them into the hype and get them feeling comfortable and having a home so that they can continue to bring their friends who bring their friends who bring their friends so we can help grow esports. To you, sir, final thoughts.
Well, thanks again for the opportunity to hop on and chat a little bit about this stuff. I really appreciate it. I think it's I like to be able to connect with the people. So anytime I can be on the show and talk about stuff, I'm happy to do it. I want to thank all of the sponsors that helped make IPL happen. AMD, Astro, Twitch, Playham, all the guys that came out and did that, and of course all the fans and attendees, the people who tuned in, the people who came out and had a good time. Those are the people that really matter. Those are the people that are going to make this work. No matter how much money you throw at this stuff, if you don't have the people out there enjoying it, it's not going to matter. So I thank every one of you for paying attention to the event, taking a look, watching it, attending it, and giving the feedback. I mean, we are scrolling through. We've got people on staff that are doing nothing but looking through Reddits, looking through all the things, looking for all the opportunities that we might have come out of this event with to work on for the next event.
Ask Joshy.
Yeah,
Joshy,
but there's more than just he doing that. Everything from the directors of this particular pods on down, everybody's grabbing that stuff. We have a whole metric to be able to pull that stuff up and look at these different elements and see if there's anything that we're missing and things like that. Everything from the silly stuff like people were boo-boo about AMD not letting pro players in the Street Fighter tournament they were holding on site and giving saltiness about that, to things like the sound issues and other integrations. So we really appreciate all the feedback. Do send it. It's not worthless, guys. We really do something with that stuff. And
also, real quick, I want to give you. Sorry to interrupt, Rob. I just want to let you know before I forget. Someone wanted me to say to you to let you know personally. So make sure Jedirobb knows that the way Pajama stepped up to do the cast he did just really seemed to resonate with him really well. So if you can get that feedback back to Pajamas and keep using it, he was really, really impressed. So just a good job there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have a 10 o'clock tomorrow, so I will share with him then. I'll send him an email, and I'll tell him personally.
Thank you.
You bet. And geez, you derailed me. So anything else I could say? Hey guys, thank you very much. It's the people that matter. So I think I'll shut up now.
All right, and that, everyone, is Jedirobb, also known as IPL or the IPL Pro League's manager of esports, director of esports.
Manager
of esports. There you go. All right, Rob, you have a good night. Enjoy. Get some rest. Thank you for your hard work this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, and that brings us to Jason. Jason, it's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's a pleasure to talk to you in Columbus. It's great to brainstorm with you, and it's always great to have you on the show. So I want to give you a chance to give your shout-outs. But first, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for jumping into the seat right after all your travels and stuff. So thanks, and floor is yours, sir.
Awesome. Well, obviously, thanks for having me on. It's always fun to be on this. So thanks for asking me. Actually, the first shout out that I want to give is actually to IPL. IPL did us a huge, favor, but they allowed iHeart Esports to be a vendor at IPL. We made some good money. We got to vend our stickers. We got to get our stickers out in front of a bunch of people. I actually owe IPL a lot of props. I was going to give them some crap about the hotel and stuff, but they did allow us to vend and be an official vendor there this weekend. So huge thank you.
Speaking of, Jason, how did the Stefano stickers do, buddy?
I think there's a lesson learned there. I think that the idea of it was really, really fun. But I don't think, from an ROI perspective, and just being as honest as I can be, from an ROI perspective, it was a bust. People liked it. People enjoyed the sticker. People asked for it. We gave all of them away. They're all gone, which is great. But from a pure ROI perspective, I don't think that we executed that. And I don't know how to correct it. But we're going to take a very, very tight look at that. It was very fun to do, and it was huge props to Millennium and Stefano and the photographer Quentin Capier for allowing us to do that. So that, and I guess the only shout out that I want to give is Anna Prosser and I are going to are starting a new series. It's going to be called Upping Your Game. And the first series that we're going to do is called Media 101. So we're going to do a 3-part series on media training for eSports. And that's something that Anna and I have been working on for a while. And we're pretty excited. That's going to be airing probably any week now, actually. We're going to get that first episode out.
Jason, I'm a big fan of anybody who wants to give training to people. So please make sure on Twitter you get my attention so I can help promote it, because that helps everybody, and that's really fantastic to hear you and Ann doing that. So
as long as we don't see you with a monster fridge in your background, we're good.
Yeah, if you can make sure.
I only keyed. Oh my god.
We all got quiet on that. Yeah, man, but Kurt, you're a bad boy. You really are.
So actually, I will say, can I give a spoiler? I see Medusa in the chat here. About posters. We are actually designing a poster. We are going to be creating a new poster. And can I say, yeah, sure, why not? Okay, you guys want a spoiler? Our next product is going to be a poster, and it's going to be a White Raw poster. It's going to be we solidified the deal this weekend. White Raw has been a partner of ours for a while. He's really, really awesome to work with. And we have designs out there, and our next product is going to be a White Raw poster.
That is so cool. Thank you for announcing that here, man, because that's really cool. Really cool. Last but not least, let's actually throw the mic over to Rob God, get any shout-outs, things like that he might have before we end up wrapping up the show. Rob, thank you for joining us tonight, my friend. Any shout-outs?
My only shout-outs are to VV Gaming and Loser Bracket. Thanks for letting me come on the show. Follow us on Twitter at VV_gaming, at Losers Bracket. We're going to be doing some more giveaways with Steel Series in the future. We have some pretty interesting things planned, and that's about it. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
No wonder you're the marketing manager. Look at you. That was pure just pitch. Look at you.
Short and sweet to the point. I don't want no babbles. All right. We talked about who's going to win the Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition. There are about 30 that really went out of your way. One person, the winner, actually put together a little PowerPoint slide, which I thought was really kind of cool. I swear to God, we have the smartest. I always say this about the Losers Bracket audience. We have the smartest people, right? Because the way I rant and the kind of comedy I use, like if you took it too seriously, you would definitely not get it, right? So there was some really good stuff that was put out there. And I really liked some of the stuff that we saw. So it was really Facebook, where I looked at the Facebook messages of those who sent me stuff on Facebook. Thank you.
Who did PowerPoint?
I'm going to give the runner-up real quick. And it wasn't a PowerPoint deck. It was a link to like a PowerPoint scrolls, like little slides.
Can you link that so I can put it on the show?
Give me 1 second. Hold on. I want to first do the joke that I thought was horrible, but I'm going to give Jason Woodson some real credit for this. What is Zelda's favorite thing for breakfast? Jason Kunz, do you know this?
I'm not sure.
What is Zelda's favorite thing for breakfast?
What is Zelda's thing for breakfast?
Favorite thing for breakfast.
Favorite thing for breakfast. It's got to be a Link joke.
It's close. Link sausage. Very good.
Yeah. I was going to say it. That's horrible. That's really bad.
Right? So one person said, "Hey, I just applied to your organization." That's good, but that's not enough to win. I appreciate that. I thought that was good, though. There was some props there. But the winner of this actually is someone on Twitter who goes by BLC Talon, and his real name, for those who are wondering, is David. Followed all the right directions and did a lot of promotion. But David S.O. Kunz, or Kunzi, or Kunz, I think it's Kunz personally, but David S.O. Kunz from Bloomington, Illinois, you are the winner of a collector's edition Guild Wars. I have other shout-outs, though. We're going to keep doing giveaways. They may not all be for this. We may actually give away another Guild Wars in 2 weeks, in not next week's show, the week after. We have had people from the UK, from Scotland, as part of the UK, but I should be more specific. Someone from London area, someone from Scotland, someone from Melbourne, Australia, who said, you know what, if I win, I swear to God, I'm going to go mental. So a lot of really great comments on Facebook. I saw the tweets, but congratulations to Talon for winning the Collector's Edition.
Cool.
So that's good. So that was really good. The next thing that we had was the Gary Becker giveaway. This is for a VVV Gaming mouse pad and for a Sensei mouse. I asked a question about a Nobel Prize winning economist,
Can
Gary
I give
Becker.
my thought on that first? Because I would love to.
Oh, look at him trying to get in here. Like you have a chance.
No, not that. I just want to see how close I am because I did my research.
All right, go ahead. So here we go. Jason is going to give his opinion of how Gary Becker and what he won the Nobel Prize for could possibly apply to esports.
All right, so I saw that one of the things that he did research on was human capital. And from what I would imagine you were going for was that it's the people that we need in place. So we need to train the people up. It's because it's the people that make the product. So I'm figuring that it's, yet again, the human capital part of this. Anybody can copy information. So another esports league could pop up and say copy everything IPL is doing, copy everything that MLG is doing, but they can't copy the people. You can't just duplicate the people. How close am I?
That's good. That's part of what it is. But Gary Becker makes a very distinct idea about the investment in human capital. And it's about the investment. And from Course Gold, California, comes someone who goes by the name Jay Gwynn, J-G-U-I-N. And he does something really fantastic. He took Jeff in control from EG, and he talked about the investment that EG was making in control, and how that investment at the end really demonstrates not the obvious investment of players, but this other sort. So I don't want to read the long thing, but he says, my topic now brings me to Jeff Robinson. He's one of the players that received a great amount of investment from EG based on his human capital. The actual knowledge, right? The actual knowledge, because he defines human capital, I thought, very specifically, defined as the investment into another person based on rational benefits and cost with the expectation of return on investment. Right? Got to get that right. So he brings in Jeff from E-Control, and he said, look, I personally just feel this guy's won nothing for his team as a player competitor. No GSL, no IPL, no MLG. But what he has won is the countless fans and viewers that consistently watch the streams and bring in revenue from his image. His Twitter reads, hello, my name is Jeff Robinson. I'm a professional StarCraft 2 player for Team Evil Geniuses. I try to keep things fun and exciting. Nowhere in there does it say anything about wanting to become a champion or anything related to achieving some kind of victory tournament. His only goal is to entertain, much like a musician such as Justin Bieber. That's fantastic. He entertains his countless. Just thinking about who Jeff is, putting him next to Justin Bieber is fantastically wrong. Anyway, he entertains his countless fans. In return, he brings in dollars for talking about Justin Bieber brings in dollars for his record company. So it is with Jeff E-Control. This is what I feel human capital of esports is. It's that investment, right? It's the investment into another person based on rational benefits and cost with no expectation, with the expectation of a return on that investment, right? Good answer. You're going to get the mouse. You're going to get the keyboard. I got a lot of mouse and mouse pad, no keyboard. I got a lot of good answers. A lot of people from Wikipedia wanted to point out what was there. But when it came to the adopting it to esports, it's the investment piece you had to get, because anybody can say it's about the people, but the way you show you invest in your people should, in a good company, help us understand how they're bringing benefits. I thought he got it right. It was the best answer we got. So congratulations to him. And there you go. We're going to be doing a lot more of these, so spread the word.
Hopefully not a lot more like that.
No, I'm always going to have one easy, one hard. I'm always going to have a hard one. Like I said, I always want... I'm a lonely human being. I have to put up with a lot of people who don't know a lot of things. And if we can teach the world one thing at a time, it's what I like about what Jason from iHeart Esports said about getting together with Ann and doing videos. Between Jason and Ann, those are two great people who know something about marketing and being media savvy. And I think that's going to be a fantastic thing. We can get links on it to the VV site and point people to that and say, hey, look, here are some things that will help you. For those of you who, quote unquote, want to get known, want to build your own brand, want to start to build your own brand, want to know what it even means to build, quote unquote, your brand. I think that's going to be a great addition in a lot of ways. So that's that. Thank you all for listening. Jason, I'll let you close out the show.
Yeah, most definitely. As always, the quick shout-outs to the fans that tune in. We had so many people on the stream tonight. Thank you all so much. We do this for you guys, so any feedback that you have to us, we've still got all of our Twitter names right down here. Send it to us. We want to hear what you have to say, because that's the way we improve the show. I promise we will start taking live calls next week. I'm so sorry we didn't get to that tonight. We kind of had the surprise of Jedirobb coming in there last minute. Apologies to him for not having his Twitter name at the bottom, since that was kind of last minute. Didn't get the chance to make one of those.
Just as a note about next week too, Jason. Adam asked in the chat if he could come on next week. So
really,
what would be kind of funny is if we got on Adam and we got on David Ting on the same show.
Well,
I don't know.
No, okay. I really think that that it would be great to hear what Adam and MLG have going on. I mean, I'd love to have David Ting on. You know what? They're adults. We could have them both on the same show.
Yeah, and Winter Arena's coming up, so I mean that's why he really wants to come on. So we can.
Yeah, and I mean I think, as he said in chat, he's got some great stuff going on. Somebody said, I think it was Yash. Yash, you weren't too far off. I mean, not as good as an answer, not a great relation to esports the way that Jay Gwynn did, but I mean, a lot of people put effort. Look, the effort you put in, I see it. I'm just going to let you know I see it, and I deeply appreciate it. It looks good. Your name is on my radar screen. Keep trying. Not everyone can win the first time. And yes, I want Adam on the show next week. I'd love to have David Ting on the show next week. Now, Jason, end the show. Take 2.
Here we go again. God, this episode has been troll paradise all day, every day, man. Wow. No. Okay. With that being said, I look forward to getting Clap on the show next week. Clap, if you listen to me right now, if you hear me in the stream, we'll have you on next week. That'll be great. Look forward to seeing what your announcements are. If you didn't see in the chat, Adam actually posted that there's going to be quite a few announcements coming out from MLG the next week. He said there's a big one Thursday, so stay tuned, stay primed and ready for that. Back to our shout-outs here. Shout-outs to all of our sponsors. You'll see them here. Control Freak, SteelSeries, Gamer Grub. Thanks to them for the support they give us. Thanks to the support you give us. As I said before, feedback. Send us your thoughts. My email address, paradise@vv-gaming.com. I want to hear what you have to say so that I can continue to make my improvements on the show. That's very important stuff. Shout out to Power Glove. We talked about them when Brock was on the show earlier. They give us the music that we use every single week on the podcast. That pretty much about wraps it up. Shoutouts to everybody that's been in the stream the entire time. Shoutouts to our guests. From the top, we had Guitar Hero Eric Brock, Robb God, Jason Tugman, and Jedirobb. What a packed show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Clap. I just said clap instead of Kurt. You just got
Kurt
mistaken.
likes to clap. Matter of fact, he likes to clap every time he hears Counter-Strike. So go ahead.
All right.
Oh, God.
So,
wow.
Anyway, so, no.
Anything else you have to say before we end the show, sir?
Yes, a few small shout-outs. Jason, I know we kept you on here for a long time, but I love having you on the show. You really add something. And I think with your experiences at IPL really helped out. Rob God, thanks a lot as well. You were like me. You were a stream monster for the weekend. I was glued. Congratulations to Rob on a successful event. Thanks. What's Jason laughing at?
Clap is going nuts in the stream right now. Holy shit! Can you confuse me for Kurt? You've got to.
Guess what, Clap? You're fucking banned from your own event, son.
Thanks, Jason. Now we're banned from events. I'm going to be back outside. Me and fucking Vinny. I'll be sitting with Mob Godfather back in 2007, trying to sneak into MLG events, pass out flyers. See what you did to me. I hope you're happy.
I'll be at MLG, but I'll be the one standing in a big ass 180 energy drink can. That'll be me.
I'm making an executive call here. The show's over. Cut. We're done. Have a good week, everybody. Take care. Bye.